Guys, if you haven't heard, Trash Taste is going on tour. Yes, me and the boys are going to be touring North America in the month of September and October. So, if you live anywhere near St. Paul, Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, Toronto, Boston, Philadelphia, New York City, Washington DC, Raleigh, Nashville, Orlando, Dallas, Austin, Kansas City, Denver, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, LA, San Francisco, Seattle, or Portland, we are coming to you. All the dates should be on screen right now. Tickets have been on sale. I believe LA is already sold out and other cities are already very close to selling out. So if you want to get your tickets today, go to trashtastetour.com. That is trashtastetour.com. Links in the description as always.
We are so sorry, guys.
So sorry.
We really messed up.
Big time.
A lot of times, which you can now watch on our Patreon.
We do mess up a lot.
Yeah, we do.
For those of you who are our $5 patrons, by the way, thank you very much. You guys will know that you'll get early access to clips as well as uncensored and uncut episodes. But we have extra stuff for you guys now, monthly behind the scenes content.
We fuck up so much that we can make a whole new video of just our fuck ups every single month. And we will present that to you, to our patrons on the $5 tier. So if you do want to go and watch those, you can do. But just for, because we're feeling a little generous, the first behind the scenes will be available. You can just smash that link down below to the YouTube unlisted link, and you can watch the Trash Taste behind the scenes.
So head over to patreon.com/trashtaste if you want to see what we have to offer. On with the episode.
We always talk way louder. Let me tell you about this thing.
You beat your guest down. They're like, shut up, I'm talking. I'll wait my turn.
Yeah.
Permission to speak.
Hello and welcome to another very special episode of Trash Taste. We are joined by another guest today. I'm sorry, I completely forgot. It's been a while since I've hosted.
Yeah.
I'm your host for today, Gant, and with me are, as usual, the boys.
What up?
And today we have a very special guest. Now, in case there is one person in YouTube who doesn't know who you are, do you want to introduce yourself and what you do?
Oh my God, that's a lot of pressure. My name is Anthony Padilla. Some people say Padilla. I'm totally fine with that, but I do like to say Padilla like tortilla. That's how I get people to memorize it. Let's see. So, God, how deep do we want to go into this history here?
You're a YouTube legend. Just admit it, Anthony.
We have 2+ hours.
We have 2+ hours.
Are we doing 2+ hours?
Yeah,
okay, let's get deep, guys.
Yeah.
So I started with my friend Ian. I started a YouTube channel called Smosh in 2005. 17.
What's Smosh?
17 years. Half of my age ago.
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
Half of my age ago.
Oh my God.
Half your life has been on YouTube.
Half of my life, yes. Oh shit, I'm having to rethink so many things. I'm gonna need that 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And then in 2017, I kind of split off to do my own thing. Been doing an independent channel, which has slowly evolved into me kind of doing deep dive interviews with either groups of people or one person that has, some kind of popularity surrounding them. And we drill in deep into the psychology behind blowing up, or if it's a group of people. I like to kind of get in there and understand them. I feel like so many people have preconceived ideas about what a group or what a label or identity means. So I like to kind of show that there is variation and nuance from individual to individual.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, this is like pretty intimidating because not only are you like the OG of YouTube, I can say that you're like
You are. It's not even like a. It's not even like a subjective thing. It's like objectively you are an OG.
You are the OG of YouTube, but also you are like now the interviewer of like YouTubers, and now we're interviewing you. So I'm like
reverse engineer this.
My stuff is so different. When I came here, I was like, "So what are we talking about today?" You're like,
I don't know. Figure it out.
when I go into mine, I'm like, okay, I've got like this 45 bullet points. I know we're gonna get through these. I overplan so much. This is chill.
It shows though. It's good.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
reflects
it really
in the qualities.
shows.
Yeah.
My favorite stuff is always the stuff that comes out of stuff that happens in the moment that was never planned.
Yes.
And that is your whole
That's
show.
Trash Taste, baby.
That's your whole show.
Trash Taste, baby.
Yeah. On YouTube, it'll say top moment, all of it. All of
Because
it.
it kind of hit me when you came in. You were like, "So what are we talking about today, guys?" And we just look at each other and we were just like,
What do you mean?
Shit, we're talking to Anthony today. Fuck, he's the interviewer, and we don't have any interview questions."
I was like, do they have some kind of secret thing that they're not telling me? Some kind of prank that they're going to do? They're like, should we tell him? No.
We're going to hit you with a low blow in about 30 minutes.
Just grill me.
Yeah.
So actually, I've always wondered how much
how much prep do you do for your interviews? Because as we've just established, we do zero prep here.
The only prepping we do is who are we getting on today?
Yeah. Let's see. So the show I spent a day with whatever the topic or whatever the person's name is. And at first it was like 4 people I would sit down with and it would amount to like 8 hours. Now it's a little bit shorter, like 2 to 3 hours if it's just one guest, a little bit longer. But I do a pre-interview call, which is like an hour and a half or 2. And then I work backwards to try to figure out what we're going to talk, what questions I'm going to come up with based on the things that we talked about. So
yeah.
God, I cannot even quantify.
It's a lot of prep.
What made you start doing pre-interviews? Is it because you maybe had some guests somewhere you're like, fuck, I could have done a way better job?
Like a little bit of that. It was also bringing on guests that have really big stories. And I felt like I couldn't just go in there and be like, so tell me about your childhood. And then just like, they just go and I'm like, I think they probably got everything. Like I realized that in the interviews, I was cutting out a lot of stuff.
Right.
You know, I was like, it's a lot of me trying to figure out where this is going. I kind of want to have an idea of where we're going first.
Yeah.
And I realized that I was like every night before the next day was an interview, I would be like up until 4 a.m., like 12 hours straight. Like, shit, I don't know what I'm talking about. I got to learn every single thing about this person's life, like drill down.
Yeah.
If I interviewed VTubers. That's actually how I found out about this podcast. I saw that you had interviewed a VTuber as well.
Oh, yeah. Callie,
Yeah, exactly. And I watched that episode and then I was like learning everything about VTubers and I was like, wait, I could just talk to them, have them tell me the important things, and then I could reverse engineer the questions based on the conversations that they want to have.
Yeah.
So basically you take out some of the research time where you don't even know if you're going down like the wrong rabbit hole.
Yes.
And instead you just come straight from the source, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I'm able to use the extra time that I now have during the interviews to kind of drill in deeper to like the psychology behind the feelings that they were having and what things affected them from those moments and how they affect them now.
Yeah.
And I guess it just allows me to get a little bit deeper with the conversations.
Yeah.
So the interviews are like 20 to 40 minutes. How much of that is like, how much source like footage do you have? How much of it gets cut out, you reckon?
Yeah. So it depends the person. Markiplier, we shot like 2 hours and 40 minutes and we cut it down to a half hour somehow, miraculously. After it came out, he was like, holy shit, you did it, you bastard. But we apparently were able to get all the key components, the conversations that were really meaty, have them in there while cutting out all the fluff. And it's a lot of, there's a big process. We have 5 editors now. And it goes from person to person. They all have like a very specific they're like a specific cog in the machine.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of just like grinding it down. It goes to the first person, they get the full 2.5 hours of footage, they cut it down to 50. And then it's like that person takes it and cuts it down. And each person's like really good at refining.
We just have a one-man machine.
Yeah.
He's like, he works like 10 people's work. He's just like, I'll do it myself.
Yeah. Damn.
I do have a solution to that problem. You know, if you're like coming in with like 2.5 hours of footage and having a hard time cutting it down.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever thought about this thing called a podcast?
You mean just releasing it all on
Have you ever thought about no cuts?
I have thought about that. And people have asked, they're like, come on, just release the full thing. I know you got it there somewhere. But I feel like I'm too much of a stickler for like, I want it to really be polished. I want everything that I come out with to feel polished. And I know there's an environment where people want longer conversations that are unedited. Like this one obviously has a huge audience, even on YouTube, where I feel like people are not generally looking for very long uncut things. You guys found that audience. It clearly does exist.
Yeah.
But I really want something that feels a little bit more bite-sized.
Yeah. But you could like take those like parts that you cut out, for example, turn it into like a compilation, release it on like Patreon for like a behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Have you thought about doing that?
For sure. Yeah, we definitely have a bunch of like archived conversations that we are noting. This didn't really make the cut, but it is still a strong conversation.
I mean, with the amount of questions I guess you're asking and the amount of people you're asking, I'm sure there's moments there where you're like, that question didn't go down great, or that was a little awkward. Let's just cut that out. Let's just
a little bit, but it depends. Sometimes the awkward questions and answers are the best ones because it puts me on the spot to come up with something that was unplanned. And I overthink everything that I usually do. That it's the unplanned stuff that actually gets out of my head because I'm
That makes
actually
sense.
there in the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I just move right on. Yeah.
You're like, all right, next question.
But sometimes they'll keep me in, keep it in of me being like, so anyway, and like me not knowing where to go with it. Like when I interviewed dominatrixes and some of the details that they said, I don't think there was any response that would have felt appropriate in that moment.
Right.
About some of the actions that went down behind the scenes. I think I'm a little too vanilla to have been prepared for some of this.
Is there a lot you have to cut out to, let's say, keep within YouTube guidelines?
I mean, to a certain degree, yes. Sometimes we just censor it, and that's enough because we don't want the video to be age gated, and then it's like no one sees this video.
Right.
I mean, certain episodes, I spent a day with strippers. I spent a day with dominatrixes. I'm going to have an upcoming episode. I spent a day with pony players. Look it up. Or maybe not. Maybe with a private browser. Incognito window.
Wait, what is a pony player?
So they are people that it's basically role play. It's a little bit of dom and sub dynamic. And they dress up as a pony, kind of in a leather outfit.
Like My Little Pony, or or just like an actual pony.
Think about a human. Oh, here we go. We got some visuals for you here.
I've seen.
Can you click on that black and white one there? I think that one's a pretty good dynamic. Yeah, let's zoom in on Twitter. Let's take a look.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Moving on, put these up.
It's like a leather furry a little bit. Except it's BDSM, so it's not a furry because those are not always associated with anything sexual.
Who's scouting this stuff for you?
Like, do you have a dude? Do you have a dude that's like Anthony? You won't believe what I just found.
I mean, a little bit. Yeah, it's my producer Elise. She's like, so we got this really interesting person. She has an arena, where horses usually reside in, but it's for the pony players. Do you want to add on a little segment where you go on location? I was like, yeah, let's do it. I didn't know how to react to that, but the obvious answer is yes.
Right.
You have to do it. It's the content.
You have to. I mean, when I do a lot of episodes, I spend a day with dominatrixes. I'm like, you have to dominate me. Like that's part. I'm not
into this, but you have to.
You have to.
For journalistic integrity.
So many comments are like, clearly Anthony just wanted to know what this was like, or like clearly Anthony's a pro at this because he didn't really have that big of a reaction. I was like, I mean, transparently, I just wanted I wanted to learn about dominatrixes in the scene. I have to put myself in it to really understand
of course.
the dynamic of why people would do this. What do they take out of it? Yeah. What do they like about it?
Yeah.
How do you battle the inner embarrassment?
It's the weirdest thing when it's on camera and it's it feels like it's for research purposes, literally. Yeah, to the point where, and part of the humor and entertainment comes from me being embarrassed, which makes me less embarrassed.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do videos in Japan, similar thing. I worked in a strip club recently.
Yeah. I did not see that one specifically. I saw one. Okay, are the strip clubs there different?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess. I mean, I haven't been to any here.
So
maybe you just tell me for research.
Research purposes. Keep taking for research purposes.
Now you have to be able to answer my question later. You must go to a strip club tonight.
I mean, I feel like, when you're on camera, it kind of gives you like a free pass to just be embarrassment.
Yeah.
Not good.
I realized that the other day I went to this bar and I never... There's this social anxiety that's just like immediately like cut off any opportunity to feel like out of my element.
Yeah.
Right.
So I went to this thing and I was like, I'm just gonna push myself to do it. And I was like, why? I was like, I could totally do this if cameras were on me. And if it was like, I'm like talking to the camera, I'm gonna be going this thing, I'm gonna be uncomfortable. Let's see what happens. And then I would be able to totally do it. Yeah. And I was trying to reframe my mind to be like, can I trick myself into thinking there is a camera following me and I'm doing this for research purposes because I would be a pro. I would be a pro at anything.
There is an invisible camera.
Go to the toilet and vlog.
It's my invincibility. I'm like, I could do anything if a camera is on me. I don't know. It's weird.
Tell me you're a YouTuber.
Tell me you're just a content creator, like through and through.
It's true. It empowers you. It feels like you have like a pass to just do it.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, don't worry. There's a camera on him. Oh, okay.
Like if these cameras were not rolling and we were all just sat down up there, I feel like it might have taken us an extra 10 minutes to warm up. You know, because it's weird, right? There's like this invigoration you can almost feel from being on camera.
Yeah, because like normally like most of my content is not on camera, and the only time I started going on camera was like for this podcast. And like at first I was like really, really awkward, and it was just really, really weird being there. But then you kind of get used to it, and it kind of becomes your friend, right?
Yeah.
And it becomes like it kind of
Parasocial relationships.
kind of becomes like your
camera
excuse.
or the audience?
Oh no, the camera. It kind of becomes like the get out jail free card to do shit you wouldn't normally do.
That's true.
Right?
That's true, because part of the entertainment factor comes from whatever happens.
Yeah.
So you're forced to lean into that.
Yeah, and the people around you as well. As soon as they see you being filmed, they're like,
Yeah.
okay, they can be a bit of a monkey or
You
whatever.
absolutely get a free pass.
I'll tell you what is like the real free pass though.
Yeah.
So you sometimes in Japan we bring like the camera crew, but for some reason every time we've brung like a boom mic, that is when like people around us know that shit's going down.
They're like, because they see like a shotgun mic, right?
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
like, oh well, this is just like a hobby for someone, they're
Right,
just filming for their
yeah,
friends or
yeah.
whatever. But when they see a massive boom mic, they're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
real shit right here. Like this is like, they got a crew.
Yeah. Excuse me, gentlemen. Do you want some coffee? What do you need on set? Thank
They
you very much.
immediately think we're
Yeah.
like more important than we actually are
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
moment they see the boom mic.
Yeah.
We don't even
for
use
sure.
it. Mostly we just use lapel mic.
Yeah.
It's just like a
for looks,
statement.
man.
Yeah.
Get out jail free card. But I was thinking back to, I was like, there have definitely been moments of things that I've shot that I would be so embarrassed if the cameras weren't rolling. And I did this video. I spent a day with anime cafe maids.
I saw that
Okay,
one. I saw
okay,
that one.
okay.
Yeah.
And I said if this video gets over 100,000 likes, I will become a maid and I will make a documentary about me doing a show. And I actually put the show on with the girls that I had interviewed.
Yeah.
And I look back at that and I had the most confidence in the world. Like
Yeah. Right.
zero bit of embarrassment about
Yeah.
literally stepping on people and having my full on ass cheeks out.
Yeah.
So I was like, if the cameras were not rolling, I would have been like, I don't want this attention.
yeah.
It was
Yeah,
something about the knowing the cameras are there and I'm trying to, almost like I'm working, like I'm fucking working here, guys. Like something about that. I was just like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's like a little devil that's sitting on your shoulder,
Yeah.
being like, "Don't worry, it's for content."
Yeah. I don't know if that's a good thing.
just like a professional through and through,
Yeah.
It's like, when you're an actor and the director says, fucking, what did they say again? Fucking
Action?
Action. Yeah.
You're in LA, John. You need to know this.
I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. It's only been 5 days in LA, okay?
I feel like when I go into a lot of the videos, I'm like, I will never get a chance to do this again. Like you can't make it true. You
Yeah.
can't make you
It's
could do the
true.
video again, but you can't really.
No. It'll never be the same reaction.
No one's gonna click it again. Well, they will, but
Yeah.
it's not the same.
It's not the same, yeah.
I was having a conversation with someone recently, and I was trying to figure out why I feel like I'm in such a different headspace when I'm conducting an interview. I mean,
Right.
part of it is that I've done a pre-call. Part of it is that I know where the conversation's going to go to a certain degree, but also in many ways, I feel like it's like the last conversation I'll ever have with this person. Not to
Yeah.
say that like I'll never talk to them or whatever again, but for some reason there is like, this is this one moment.
Yeah.
In a way, it feels like there's all this
Like make
pressure.
it count.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even though there's a lot of pressure, it for some reason the fact that it feels so dire, it almost alleviates the pressure in a weird way.
Right.
Yeah.
Knowing that you can kind of go for the deep questions and really push
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah. Like this is your one shot.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
what you were saying.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
When you started, did you ever feel like, I guess, nervous being too intrusive or, kind of like diving down a bit too deep?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I would tell people beforehand, like if there's any question that you don't want to answer, like don't ever feel like I'm trying to pry further than you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I would tell them like, tell me to not if I'm going down in direction that you're not comfortable with. But now that I do the pre-calls again, that removes most of that. Sometimes I'll drill down a little bit further, but for the most part, I see if they're comfortable and I try to word the questions in a way where they can tell me as much as they want or go in as much as they want.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll tell me something. If I want to get in deeper, I'll be like, oh, and I'll kind of rephrase what they just said to me, which sounds really stupid if you like if we just leave it in. It's me saying the exact same thing that they said,
Right.
but for some reason hearing it back, I feel like they know that I understood, and then it gives them the opportunity to to refine or dig in deeper if they want.
Yeah.
So usually it's like I kind of throw out little invitations to go deeper without feeling like I'm prying in.
Okay.
Right. So it's like their choice if they would like to go down if they want to.
Yes,
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty smart to do.
Yeah.
It sounded like you were describing a different experience.
I didn't mean for it to come out.
Took what he said and explained it sexually. Like, so it's their choice to go down.
It's their choice to go down.
It's their choice.
I don't have to.
So like obviously like it's like a massive interview series on YouTube now, but you came off of this like off the back of Smosh. What made you want to start doing this series? Did you want to explore a bunch of ideas and then this was the one that like kind of stuck, or was it always this that you wanted to do?
Well, I mean, Smosh was definitely a comedic, like silly thing. So I never thought that I was going to get into any deeper conversations, like connecting with people in the way that the series is now. And the whole series kind of started off as a joke, of course. The very first video when I left, I was like, okay, part of the joke was that I'm an independent YouTuber now. I have no idea what's going on. I mean, it was
I'm a strong independent YouTuber.
I was feeling myself. And it was actually very true. I had not uploaded my own video in years because the company had taken it over.
Right.
So part of the joke was like, hey, what does a independent YouTuber do now? And I was asking for advice, and I interviewed a bunch of popular YouTubers, and there was something about that dynamic of having a conversation where I didn't know where it was going. And the funniest moments were the ones that were improvised rather than 100% scripted.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. And then later on, it was like, let's revisit. And I was like struggling for a long time, just floundering, like, what do I do with this channel? And every single week it was like, I don't know what to do. Okay, I figured it out. Okay, I shot it. Okay, I hate it. So now I'm going to figure something else out. Okay, I finally shot. Now I'm releasing this thing that I don't really like, but I ran out of time.
Yeah.
And eventually I was like, what were the things that I liked doing most on the channel so far? Let's, I'll dial in deeper with those ideas. And then I started expanding on it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, Japan needs to start like listening to how you do your interviews, because you would hate how interviews are done in Japan.
I don't think I've ever heard a Japanese interview. Tell me about it.
Oh,
Miserable.
God.
Do you guys get interviewed like on Japanese?
No, so when you do interviews with anyone, you have to give them the exact script.
Yes.
And there's no room for...
Yeah, and they will sometimes have scripted answers about what they will say to you back.
Yeah.
So everything is pre-planned. There is, you are not allowed to go out of like off script at all. And it's just the most rigid interview you could like ever imagine.
Is it like that in different places of Asia as well? Because I have, I've also interviewed someone from South Korea, and it was a similar thing. Where, well, they were speaking English to me, and it was obviously not their first language. So it was like, of course, they want to know what they're saying. They wanted the questions beforehand, and I figured, they want to know what I'm saying to them just in case a word slips by that they don't know.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize what they were doing was scripting their ressponses to such a degree that afterwards they sent me their script.
Yeah.
And,
oh, wow.
And whenever I thought it was a little bit weird in the moment, whenever I'd ask a question, they would repeat the answer that they had already said. And I was like, okay, well, they were a lot more loose in the pre-interview, just talking to me about all these things. Yeah. And then here I was like, maybe they're just nervous or something. Okay, I get it. People get nervous. Yeah. But then they sent me the script and it was verbatim, every single word that was said.
Wow. Yeah.
So I think they had a teleprompter.
Yeah, I think like, because I've done quite a bit of interviews with like industry people in Japan, and like a lot of them are like, okay, send me your list of questions beforehand. We will approve all the questions. We will write up like a very basic thing. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I've done enough now where I'm just like, okay, we'll follow your script, but I'm going to add extra questions.
Yeah.
And you won't be prepared for them. And so I can really catch you out on what you actually feel. And for the most part, they're okay with it when it actually happens. But I think if you tell them beforehand, hey, by the way, I'm going to throw in some extra questions, they'll just freak out.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, we're not prepared for that.
Their teams will say like,
their teams will be like, no, you can't do that. But when I do it on the day of the recording and I get a good answer and a good conversation flow going, then they're like, oh, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's actually, maybe it actually makes for an interesting interview.
Maybe they're not out to fuck me over.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they actually are just like genuinely interested in me and want a good interview.
I wonder how many people have to be screwed over like in order for that to become the
Yeah, it's like how many
right?
bad interviews must have you have done
Right?
for
Yeah.
you to get to that point?
Yeah. But it does take a while to kind of build up that
Rapport.
and that level of respect or trust
Yeah.
with
definitely.
people, you know, and I've seen that too. I have people that are a lot more comfortable with doing my interviews now than I think that they probably would have been a couple years ago before I'd really, you know, I don't know if I want to call it proven myself, but like, I guess proven that I'm not going to purposely and maliciously try to like defame someone and ruin their career.
You never really showcase even like, you know, what most people would consider strange things. You never really show it as like, whoa, look at this weird thing. You're just like, these are real people. Let's just see why real people do what they do.
Well, if it is a strange thing, I like to talk with them about how it's a
Yeah,
strange thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, most people are absolutely willing to talk about how something that they do is strange.
Right.
It's not like they are so like in a different world that they think everyone should do this, and if they think it's weird, then fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've had people like that though, right? In the past?
In which way?
In the sense of like them trying to prove a point and being like, no, you're weird for thinking that this is weird kind of
A
thing.
little bit, but it still seems a little playful. They're like, normies don't get this. You know what I mean? So they still, I think, recognize that, but definitely people are a little bit defensive. But I think it's because they've been shown enough times that they feel like they have to be defensive because that means that someone doesn't respect them. And I think it's just a lot of like vying for respect of people.
Yeah. Do you often find like do you ever find people that it's a different field where you're just talking to someone casually, but when you're in like in an interview setting with cameras, you really have to like make them feel comfortable, like being themselves and talking. Like, did you find that a challenge with your interviews at all? Just getting people to be comfortable on camera as quick as possible.
A little. I mean, and you bring up a good point. I do obviously have a limited time, and I can't just spend the first like hour of the interview warming up. So I go out of my way to really connect with people. You know, we have the pre-interview call, so there's a little bit of that dynamic where we're already laughing together and we already are on the same page. So there's that when they show up. But of course, they're a little bit more tense. But I'll meet the guest on the street. I'll walk them in. I'll bring them out to the back. We do our COVID tests and we like hang out. Like on this park bench that I have on my balcony, and we just chit chat, and I get to know them, and I tell them a lot about myself. So I think that there's like a method to kind of warming people up so that they can see like that you're genuine and that you're not secretly going to be trying to get a one up on them.
We should have done that. I should have
taken him out back.
So here's what we were about.
Damn, Anthony just turned up. We were like, all right, cameras on.
Right, let's go. Come on, chop.
Now we used to do something similar. We called it like I don't know if it was a strat, but the Denny strat. So there was a Denny's outside of our office. And we often invite them to like lunch beforehand to like get to know them, have a casual conversation. But one issue we always found ourselves having was we'd get into a conversation and it would just be like, shit, this is good material. This is good. I mean, it literally happened like the 5 minutes since Anthony sat down and we're like, shit, let's just like not ask any questions because this is like good material that we can go through now.
And that's part of the challenge also. I mean, that's the closer you get to someone, the more you start connecting with them, the more you start talking about things that are then difficult to bring back up and have it feel like the first time you talked about it. But that's what helps having my questions already. Because we actually go away from those conversations for a little while, and then if we have a good conversation, I'll write it down in my notes and I'll be like, this is a good, we need to bring this back up again.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Smart.
We should take notes.
We should definitely take notes.
This isn't a podcast. We're literally just asking for advice now.
It's like, how do you do it?
You guys didn't have to I could have just sent you a message.
It's like, where were the questions, bro?
Yeah, no, this is great.
So we were talking about before, like how many people you have to like run this show now. So like how many people are there behind the scenes and how many did you start off with?
Yes. So I started off with just 2 camera operators, and it was just myself trying to figure out what the fuck I was doing.
Right.
And then I slowly but surely had new people come on to help me, and now I have 10 employees on the show.
Jesus.
And
nice.
It doesn't sound like that big of a number until you think about how much everyone needs to be paid.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
And it's there's a lot of moving parts. So from when I started, I took 2 years of community college, and I started to take business administration classes.
Right.
I Smosh started happening 2005, and I was like, fuck college. But I realized that I've actually always been interested in kind of managing a team and a business, and I think it's a lot of fun, you know, teaching. And especially once you could teach, like I have a head of post, the main editor, and I get to teach him all the things, and we get on the same page. And then there's 4 people that work, I guess below him is how people would say it, but that work with him. And so I get to communicate with one person, he communicates with 4. So I just really enjoy the dynamic of a whole team working together and having it feel like a well-oiled machine.
Because I was going to ask, like, how many people did you have at most when you were at Smosh, like working?
Oh my God.
Like, how many employees did you have then?
It's kind of hard to say because Defy owned Smosh.
Right.
And they, I think, had 30 people working with Smosh and all the side channels and the live events and the live, there's so many elements there that I guess 30 was the magic number. I don't even think I met some of the people that were there.
They're there somewhere.
It was a weird team situation where we all never really got to know each other fully.
Obviously, you know, we're YouTubers. You see that lovely 1 out of 10 system, which is the most depressing system on earth, and it's very Black Mirror-esque.
The best system in the world. Well, 1 out of 10.
Our viewers have heard us complain about it like a million times, but I imagine when you have 10 employees, that suddenly if you're getting a 10 out of 10, or then maybe you get a 9 out of 10, it starts to get a lot scarier, right? When you
There's a lot more weight.
I mean, how do you deal with that? It's like did you deal with it like as a team, or are you like, guys, leave me alone, I'm going to cry in my own?
There's still a part of me that is affected by it. I can't say that there's not. It's not even like an outward thing of like, oh shit, dude, what am I gonna do? But even if I just carry on with my day, there's like a part of me where like my energy feels a little bit like something was pulled out from me a little bit.
Right.
Even if I'm not thinking about it, it must be some suppressed shit. And then when there is like a 1 out of 10, I'm a little my posture's a little better. But I've been really working on reminding myself that like a bad video now was actually a good video for me. Like, in terms of performance. When I first started, what I would now consider like probably a lower performing video was a good performing video, and we still have sponsors, and I try to look at what my actual progress has been for the show. It's not just views. It's so easy to think views are a measure of progress because it's the biggest number when you go on YouTube. It's attached to every single thumbnail. In fact, many people decide if they're going to click on something based on how high that number is. You see one video and it has 10,000 views. Someone is much less likely than to click that same video with 10 million views because there's that curiosity aspect of, wait,
why was this watched?
So many people are watching this. There's got to be something important here, right?
If there is a YouTube video under 30 seconds that has over 1 million views, you know
you're gonna click it.
You know it's always a fucking banger.
And that shit's gonna be delivered to you with so quickly, 30 seconds. That's it. 30 seconds to have a banger. I'm fine with that. But that is not my only measure of where I'm going with this. Part of it is also like I want to grow respect and have people trust that I will treat them with respect on the show. So I'm having people with huge names, people have started to reach out to me and say like, "Ooh, I'd love to be on the show sometime." And that's something that I never had before. So regardless of where my numbers go, I have people that I really respect reaching out to me and wanting to talk with me and like have that experience of being on the show. And that is something that is so cool, and I could clearly see kind of that's my metric
impact
now.
that you're having.
Exactly.
I mean, was that so? The whole YouTube system and giving a shit about analytics, was that something that I suppose at Smosh and under Defy Media that you never concerned yourself with?
I didn't really, because we were just on a salary.
Right.
So I was like, these numbers don't affect me.
They came in there like, Anthony, man, it's not doing too hot.
I'm like, oh man, well, it looks like I have 2 more years.
So it must have been like you were under Smosh, then under Defy Media, and then now you're separate. So there's probably that big gap where you didn't really take notice of what was really happening on YouTube much. Wow, that's interesting.
So now I had to start learning all these things.
When did you kind of tune out of like giving a fuck about what was happening on YouTube, or like kind of not paying as much attention and just doing it?
You mean like when I was Defy?
Yeah.
I'd say it was probably around 2014 or 2015 probably to 2017 when I eventually left and decided to do my own thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was the 2 years that I was unhappy with where things were going and the way that the company was being ran and the decisions that were being made and how I was being left in the dark about a lot of decisions that were really important that were being made.
Right.
And it was around then that I started to just kind of tune out from YouTube in general. You know, I would still put a lot of my heart into making the things that I was making at that time, but there was still this part of me that was just getting detached from it. And that's when I kind of stopped caring about browsing YouTube and being part of the community as much.
Just when you thought you were out, you got dragged right
I almost made it out of the rat race.
So do you think like not caring about it gave you more or less freedom than you do now? Because now you have to you do have to care about the algorithm. Every YouTuber has to care about the algorithm, unfortunately.
I think it's kind of about caring about the right things, and by the right things, you know, it's not to say there's a wrong thing to care about, but like the figuring out what is meaningful for you and then caring about those things. It's so easy to start caring about the things that seem like they matter most, like, you know, just straight up view count. You know, but then you could drill in, you could read the comments and see how much of an impact a certain thing made. And you know, you could realize that that is more important. So you have to define the things that matter most to you before you just start caring about everything.
Damn. So like you mentioned something earlier, just off the cuff, but you were just like, so I quit college in 2005 because Smosh was a thing. What? So you quit college in 2005 to do YouTube.
Wow, that's super.
Well, okay.
That's really how you like foresaw that shit.
Mom, I made one Pokemon dance. I'm quitting.
Basically. I said it a little wrong. So I went to 2 full semesters. So I think it was technically 2006.
Right.
And I was signing up for classes and I was thinking about the amount of time, because the classes obviously get harder the further along you get with your degree. Because they start dialing down to the actual difficult things. And I was like, okay, I could be doing all these extremely difficult things for this. Or you know, which is now taking my time away from this other thing that is now starting to build. That this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. To I felt like I was almost like the master of my own fate with this world. Well, I felt like getting a college degree, while obviously super helpful for most people, I felt like this is something I can always come back to. And also this kind of puts me in a position where I'm kind of like following a system that other people have put in place for me. I felt like I was making up my own rules on YouTube.
So did you like foresee the fucking ecosystem YouTube would become, or you're just like, no.
I'm like, I see it all.
Well, you were confident enough to be like, buy college, you know?
No.
Did you just have this, like, because obviously, how many videos, or like where were you at that point when you decided to quit college? Like, what kind of stage was it at?
I think we had...
How many?
I think we had 6 videos out.
What the fuck?
God. Oh my
God. Would you ever recommend to a YouTuber with 6 videos?
No. Never do what I did. Never do what I do. Unless your parents are very well off and they're totally fine with you not doing college. They want to help you.
How many subs did you have when you quit?
The subs were not a thing.
They
were called followers, and they were not a thing. But the reason that I felt confident is because this outside company that was competing with YouTube called it does not exist anymore. They reached out to us and they were like, they gave us this contract that was in hindsight very shitty, but we were college kids who were still living under our parents' roof, and we were like, you know what, this makes sense. We can fund these things that we love doing. Like we just had the best time hanging out and just laughing our ass off, creating things, and like college kids, that's what the college kids really want to do most of the time. not the homework.
Man, you get one paycheck and you're like, I am set for life. Mother, I have a career now.
So we signed a 2-year contract with this outside company. They offered us $3,600 to split between us
for 2 years.
For 2 years each. No, each month.
Okay.
Each month.
Okay.
I know. It sounded worse. It's still not great though. So we each got $1,800, and we each also invested our own money
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
that
yeah,
yeah.
into the videos themselves. And they also give us a little bonus at the beginning. So I got to I had this piece of shit car. So I couldn't do anything because every time I got my car, it was like not work. Anyway, so I bought a new car and I was like, you know what? This, we have a 2-year contract here. We're pretty safe. I could come back to do these classes if I really
Okay,
need
that
to.
makes way more sense.
Yeah.
I just did 6 videos.
Yeah. It was like one of the first deals where a company was like trying to compete with YouTube and take an audience away.
Damn.
And part of the contract was this video has to be exclusive to us for 2 weeks, and after the 2-week period, you can release it to YouTube, but it has to have a brought to you tag on the front and at the end and a watermark on it. So we
generous so they even let you do that.
It was, but their whole strategy for marketing was that they were trying to steal the audience from YouTube.
Right.
Yeah.
So the only way for them to get an audience on their platform was to let people know.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they didn't have anything to offer.
Yeah.
That was bigger than the scope of what YouTube had to offer.
Yeah.
I don't need to get into the legality behind it, but eventually we were able to get out of that contract because they promised us a certain. Wow, I don't know if I should have said the company name.
You want to bleep it out?
Do you want to bleep it?
We can bleep it out.
Okay.
Mood on, bleep it out. Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Bleep out the company name.
And
So now I feel more.
Thank you, Ham.
Now I feel comfortable saying everything. So they promised a certain amount of marketing value, and they translated that to a certain amount of views. It was like some odd millions of views.
Right.
They were promising to bring to our videos on our channel on their platform.
Okay.
They did not live up to that, and when we started getting on them about that, we found out. I'm wondering how much I should say. This is how many years ago now? Jesus, 16 years ago.
Jesus.
Maybe it's okay. I think that everyone there is probably in a different, I don't know, buried underground.
Yeah.
So they what I realized they started doing to fulfill their end of the bargain
Right.
was first I noticed that we had 1 million new views on our video on this channel this day. Okay, so this website where our videos usually get 5,000 views are now getting 1,005,000 views. Right. There's something up here. So so I go into the comments and I get fuck Smosh, what is this bullshit? I'm trying to look at my MP3s and this is why is this playing? I find out that they also own this other website and they have a little hidden iframe that's like auto playing our videos in the background of this other website.
Oh shit.
So they'd go to this website and then they'd hear the audio of our videos while they're trying to fucking browse this other website and it would count as a view.
Oh my god.
So eventually we were able to get out of the contract. We were like, this is not very cool. It's actually giving us a bad reputation because people think that we are doing this.
Yeah.
And then eventually we were able to get out of that. And it was at that time that both... Oh my God! MySpace was trying to launch a video platform.
I'm not sure if kids today know what a MySpace is.
No,
Yes.
it's your space.
Yeah.
So they were trying to launch a video platform, and they came to us with an offer, and then YouTube was like, "Hey, there's this program where you can make money on your videos on our platform that never had any ads before. Would you like to be one of the first 10 channels to ever make any money on here? We'll give you a guarantee." And even though their guarantee was lower than MySpace, thank everything in the world, we said, we'll stick with YouTube. And that's kind of where everything started. That was early 2007. That's when we...
Was that just like, were you just guessing, or did you genuinely feel like, I think YouTube's going to be the king?
There was this feeling. Also, we had a video on there, our Pokemon theme song lip sync video.
Classic.
It's like The Godfather. You're like, you go on like the IMDb page of like YouTube videos, and that's like at the top.
Is it really?
Top 100 YouTube videos up there.
No, it would be if there wasn't IMDb for like
in our
brains.
So that video, I think, had something like 25 million views.
Jesus Christ.
And it was easy to see that the market, the viewership was on YouTube, and they had just been purchased by Google for way too cheap. And which is still billions of dollars. And I felt really good about Google. I felt good about where they're going. Even though I met Tom from MySpace myself, I was like, Google.
Wait, you met the creator of MySpace?
Yeah, briefly.
What was he like?
He was just a dude. I mean, I don't know. A dude wearing a nice jacket.
Did he do this thing?
He did not. I feel like everything within him was like, I can't do that. I can't even give a thumbs up or a smile. No. He was a good guy.
Did he add you on MySpace?
We were already friends, bro.
Yeah, but was he in your top 8 friends? That's the real question.
He became part of my top 8 after I thought I might have a deal with him.
Oh shit! My top 8 business.
I'm like, shit, if he goes to my page, he's gonna know. Oh shit. I think he does photography now, and he's a good photographer. But anyway, so I went with YouTube. We went with YouTube. Ian and I made the decision to go with YouTube there, and obviously it was the right choice. It just felt right,
Yeah. Damn, so you were getting paid even before there was even like an economy on YouTube.
Yeah, and the funny part is that all they were was the lower third ad, the little tiny thing that pops up at like 15, 20 seconds. And even then, we were afraid of the backlash that we might get for that.
That's so funny.
We enabled it on our older videos, and then the newest video we'd wait till like our bigger audience came in and left, so that we wouldn't get flack for it. Even on our older videos, people were like, "Whoa, you fucking sellout!" It's an ad where you go your mouse. No one's on mobile. You're on your computer. All you have to do is move your mouse and click the X, and people are like, "Fuck this!
There's one extra step I have to do."
Now people watch videos and there's a minute and a half unskippable ads 6 times in a video.
And like whenever YouTube gets sponsored, they're like, "Yes, King, make that money."
But no.
Did you get like backlash when you had your first sponsor? Because I feel like YouTube
Every
ads are
YouTuber
one
did,
thing.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Smoothie King?
Was that what
Was that your first sponsor?
First sponsor. It's called Smoothie King.
Right.
It was this like, I don't know if they're independent or if they're like a chain, but they're a smoothie place in like Austin, Texas, or I forget, somewhere in Texas. I don't know. And we just had to make a little video there and put it on. We didn't even put it on our main channel. It was our second channel. They paid us like a couple thousand or something, and it was like
What was the reception to that though?
What the fuck is this?
But early YouTube seems so wild.
There were absolutely no rules. And I remember when I first started, I would actually go out of my way to break rules to show YouTube that this rule could be broken. I'm just a bad boy.
Like what?
One thing that I realized is that there was this channel that I can't remember what the name of it was. In fact, it's probably better that I don't say that. They had videos that would just pop off, but they'd have like 12 comments, and I was like, this math doesn't add up. And of course, as an 18-year-old kid, I was like, I must get down to the bottom of this. It's my duty.
Internet detective mode.
So I did a test on our MySpace, and it was kind of what I learned from that other company doing the hidden iframe thing. So I realized on MySpace you can hide an iframe as well,
Right.
which is ridiculous to think that anyone could have any page load in the background. So I hit it on our page, and I realized that worked. So I said, YouTube, fix this. I don't know. I don't know if it was even me saying it, but also a big thing was that channel was also having hundreds of thousands of new subscribers. I think it was right when they announced subscribing. And I was like, how is this channel that gets so little comments having so many views and subscribers? So I also hid an iframe on our channel on our MySpace that auto subscribed people to our channel. And after like a day, I was like, this is gross. I'm not going to have this on here. So I removed it. We got like 100, 200 new subscribers. I felt gross about it. And I think in order to repent for my sins, I went to YouTube and I was like, this is a way that people are cheating the system. So then YouTube, like within the next couple days, added on the subscribe page, they had a little button that said, "Are you sure you want to subscribe?"
Was that back when you could actually talk to YouTube? And
yes. And especially if you had a big audience on YouTube, it was like concierge service.
Really?
Yeah.
Just kind of get shit done.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I went. We went and hung out in I don't know. I don't remember San Bruno, San Jose. Some sand near San Francisco.
Yeah.
And hung out with people there that worked there.
Wow.
And Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, the creators of
way.
YouTube.
Damn, dude.
Just don't have enough subscribers.
The good old days, right?
It was so rare though for people to have an audience, because most people that uploaded videos to
One-off
YouTube
viral clips and stuff.
were one-off viral clips. So it was very rare for people to have audiences and have recurring videos of a specific channel. So I think that they really treated everyone back then as like their gems that were like keeping the channel or like making YouTube be something bigger.
Because I remember back in the day, it was just like you would go on like the most viewed. You go on like the most viewed of all time, and like obviously the Pokemon lip sync was there. But you have like Evolution of Dance,
Dude,
fucking Charlie bit my finger. The classics. The classics.
Yeah, because I always forget. At one point, you were the most subscribed channel on the platform.
Two separate times.
Two separate times.
It
Yeah,
was like a 3-month period and a 8-month period or something. I forget.
How was that? Like, how is it at one point you were at the top?
It was really cool.
Was there pressure though? I bet
there was definitely pressure, and it filtered the way that I looked at everything that I did. For better or worse. There was the good of like, ooh, everything that I make has some kind of value. I should put a lot of my time and energy in this because I know a lot of people are going to see it, and it really pushed me to constantly be pushing myself outside my boundary or out of my comfort zone, because I knew that it would not literally pay off, but it would pay off in the sense that a lot of people would see it and potentially be able to enjoy it. But then on the opposite side of that, there was a lot of getting in my own head about the pressure and how I have to live up to this. And then you're also always seeing comments of people saying like, how is this, whatever. And it's a lot of filtering it out to be like, it doesn't matter that some people don't like this. It's not for them. But it would get in my head of like, oh, I need to be better. And it was a lot of like this pressure.
You were mentioning earlier about how obviously when you started you got a deal from a company.
Yeah.
I imagine when it was starting to ramp up and get to like #1 most subscribed, you're probably getting offered all sorts of weird and predatory stuff and probably just the most stressful company meetings ever.
Dude, we had someone show up to my house. I was living with my mom, obviously, like in just like our small little tiny house outside of Sacramento, California, and there was this predator. I don't want to call him predatory, but this guy came up in a business suit and he's like, knocked on the door. My mom was like, "There's someone outside to see."
Oh no!
So Ian and I walk out and we're like, what is up? And he's like, I got your address because I saw that you just registered for a business and it was marked under this address. So I figured I would just show up and tell you a few things about like what you could be doing, how you could be monetizing this. And I was like, I was 18, so I didn't know. And it was my first time with any kind of fame or notoriety. I didn't know that this was a fucked up thing to do. So I entertained it. And
come on inside.
Would you like some tea?
I drew the line there. I did not invite him inside. There was no invitations inside. But luckily he was a vampire and he could not enter without me inviting him. No, so he was like, okay, so your Pokemon theme song music video. Like it's this epic piece of cinematic work, and he was like, it has 3 million views. So think about it this way: I could get you sponsored by Coca-Cola.
Oh my god!
And if you get $1,000 per million, that's $3,000 in your pocket like that. And I was like, first of all, do you actually know? Do you have any contacts with Coca-Cola? And he just starts listing all, and I realized immediately that he was full of shit. He was trying to make some kind of a connection, and he was like, but like then McDonald's, and I was like, dude. So he clearly didn't know what he was talking about. Luckily, he only showed up one other time after that.
Only one other time.
Just one other time. I was like, Mom, when that guy shows up again, you just ignore that man. The bad man in the suit, leave him.
Oh my god.
But luckily we were we were not very smart, but we were smart enough to know that did not feel right.
Right. Because we were talking to like Sean Jacksepticeye like a few weeks ago, and how back in like the early days of YouTube, there was just no boundaries between fans and like the creators. So fans would literally show up at his house.
Oh yeah.
Did that happen to you a lot?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So Ian and I ended up renting this place together. He and we had another roommate with us too, and we lived there for I think 4 years, and that's when our videos were really, really, really starting to become popular, like 2009 to 2011 ish.
Right.
And there's so many ridiculous stories of like mobs of people. Like I'm trying to edit in my editing room, and there's like I just hear like people running around the house and like laughing and like looking through our trash.
What the fuck?
It was people did not know boundaries.
How
and
did
it was
they find out
difficult
where you live?
because we were really stupid. And so like all blame is on us. But we would just shoot outside of our house.
Yeah, I was about to
our
say,
address would be in it. Our cross streets, cross streets of like they knew exactly how to find us, and we
because this was also during the time where you were doing the mail unboxings on the Signature channel,
yeah.
right? So I bet like that also came into it as well, right?
Yeah.
I remember, like, you know, way back when I used to watch this mail unboxing.
Oh yeah,
Those are my favorites, dude.
Dude,
I love
those
those
are so
videos.
wild.
I think at that time it was something so unique because obviously, you know, big, massive celebrities would be getting this kind of stuff. But I think it was the first time that like a normal person could just watch somebody receive all sorts of weird shit.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is so weird.
Yeah.
It really did show you the scope of like how strange
Yeah.
the common person can be with the items that they choose
Yeah.
to send you.
Yeah.
And the drawings that they choose to draw.
That must have been weird.
Oh,
Like, just-
yeah.
What was some like the weirdest stuff you ever
I
got sent?
have some very good go-tos for that. Don't you worry. We got Ziploc bag of dead bees.
What?
I want to know, how did they collect those?
They might not have been bees. Maybe they look like bees.
Just
I did not
insects.
examine enough to know for sure. We have a slightly smaller, thinner bag of nail clippings.
Oh.
Yeah. Everyone.
Didn't you receive shit as well at one point?
We received stuff that smelled like shit that we never ventured into.
You didn't play with it? You didn't
I felt the texture. It's like, this is definitely
gave it a little smell.
elephant shit.
It's definitely human shit.
We definitely had boxes, and we received so many boxes that we would sometimes just throw in our garage, and they would sit in the humidity and the heat, and it would be months before we'd get to it. And people thought it was so funny that they would send us sandwiches. And these sandwiches would just rot and mold and
because of like the food fight stuff. I imagine.
I don't know why, but it became a thing. And the Ziploc bags would, inflate with the gases from these things, and they would pop, and then the scent would just permeate throughout our entire house.
Oh god.
You'd throw away the boxes once they were kind of
You could see like patches.
kind of sopping wet or oily or greasy. But that quickly was like, it's probably about time to stop receiving the mail. Like, it was fun. It was a great time period.
How long did you guys do that for?
I think we did it for like 3 or 4 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And by the end, it was years of stuff just built up, towers and towers of mail.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But I guess every now and then you probably get something really fucking cool that you're like, this is sick.
We
This
would
is sick.
receive some really cool shit.
Oh man.
Lots of used video games, and then I would just take them all to GameStop, and I'd be like, used video games, and then they'd be like $100 credit. I was like, 2 games I actually want.
That's so big.
Not like the 8 copies of the Nintendogs ripoffs of like puppies and like all these weird like ponies and cats with a Z. So many weird games that I would never be interested in playing. I was like, I can convert these into games I want to play.
Is people just giving junk? Is just trying to get rid of it?
Well, we were given a lot of stuff that we were given were just like people are looking for things to send.
I
because
want to send you something.
And they didn't want to spend money on just sending because they didn't even know if we would see it. There was no guarantee. We didn't even know if we would see it. In fact, some of the things I hope, it's probably better off we didn't see half of the things that we did see. But people would send us just old stuff that they wanted to throw away.
Yeah, because started a garage sale or something, right?
It was like old shirts that had not been washed in years and had holes in them.
Yeah, because to them it was probably just like, yo, that's my shirt in the video.
Yeah. So then we had to start being really selective about the things that we showed. We had to stop showing the shit stuff, the dead stuff. The body, human body,
The human bodies.
the anything that came from a human body was no longer making it in the videos after a certain point. Yeah, we realized that we were encouraging it, and then we also accidentally encouraged people to send us money because we had one video where someone, a a few people sent us like $1 bills. So he's like, oh, we got $10. And like, it was kind of a joke. And then we had to make we got $100. And then it was like, we need to stop showing money altogether.
Yeah.
And we realized that anything that we showed was a direct call for people to send us more of it.
Right.
So eventually we had to stop showing the weird stuff or the really grandiose stuff because we didn't feel comfortable with either.
Right.
Yeah, someone might feel bad if you show off like something really amazing and they're like, oh, and I guess Charlotte from like Mexico sent me this like shitty little keychain.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were sending really sentimental,
Right.
handwritten things that we could never like if I wanted to read every one of those, and I really wish I could because they were so heartfelt, like it would have been a full-time job to do that instead of everything else. Yeah, which is a great problem to have.
Yeah.
I'm interrupting this episode of Trash Taste to give you an important announcement.
This Trash Taste episode is sponsored by Bokksu. Anyone who watches Trash Taste will know that we are big fans of Bokksu. If you haven't heard of it yet, Bokksu is a monthly subscription snack box service that delivers premium Japanese snacks and tea pairings straight from Japan to your door. The first Bokksu you will receive is called Seasons of Japan. Following the Seasons of Japan, you will receive a new monthly themed box every single month, like this one. And this one's theme is onsen vacation. You know me and the boys are always talking about our onsen vacations. And this theme, you can get snacks from places that are famous for their onsens. Each Bokksu is packed with snacks and it comes with a cultural booklet that tells you all about the theme, where the snacks come from, details on all the flavors, and it even teaches you a few Japanese words and phrases. Baka. Now I would like to try. Oh yes. Or senbei. It's a rice cracker snack and I love these. So if you want to try some rare Japanese snacks and support Japanese family businesses and support our channel, make sure to go and order a Bokksu by smashing that link in the description down below. And don't forget to use coupon code TRASHTASTE15 to get $15 off your very first Bokksu order. Back to the episode.
So you mentioned like, you were pretty much one of the first creators to get paid for doing what you do on YouTube. When did you start to realize, oh, this is like serious now. This is like gonna get big?
I mean, it depends. Like, there's so many different levels of big. Like, at that point, I already felt like it was a big thing.
Right.
Because I was like, we're one of the first people to get paid on this platform that I foresee as having longevity.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, I don't know. It was a little bit dicey though. So that was 2007, and then 4 years later, I didn't really know what the fate of YouTube was going to be. And we had an offer from a company, which ultimately, their name ended up being Defy. And they offered us then to buy our company for stock. It's a totally great idea.
Well, you've talked about this a lot in your video. About
Yeah. Obviously didn't end up being worth anything.
So how did they pitch it to you in a way that you both were like, yeah, this is a fucking great idea. Let's do it. Like, how did that like happen?
Yeah, and it is a complicated
I imagine,
process too, because the state of YouTube in 2011, it felt really like we didn't know where it was going.
Was that before or after the Google Plus thing they tried to shove in?
No, that was that was when I first started, so that was like 2014.
That was ages ago.
Okay. That was felt like everyone was
that
like,
was
shit.
Oh shit.
Google Plus is when Google tried to do Facebook, and
I
forgot
about that.
It was just a shit show.
And then a year, I think it lasted like a year,
and they cut it.
maybe, and then they were like, "Nah, we're getting rid of it."
I get it. The YouTube has been constantly, especially in its earlier days, it did seem like it was like, what the fuck is it?
It felt very fragile for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they presented it to us as, we're going to take all the website Smosh.com stuff off your plate, because I was doing all of that myself. Because I actually made money before we started getting paid on YouTube by designing websites for people.
Right.
And that's how I was able to fund a lot of things. And side tangent, our videos actually started getting, we made like 2 lip sync videos before the Pokemon theme.
It works, baby. Keep it coming.
doing a little test run.
before we found out about YouTube, and I hosted it on my own website. And because there was no website like YouTube to host it on. And I created a little thing. It was an iframe. You copy paste there, and when you paste that to your page, it had instructions and everything. When you copy paste it to your MySpace page, it put the video there, and then it also had instructions to copy and paste for someone else. Like, that was how I designed this like a copy paste viral kind of thing.
All right.
And I didn't know how well that was doing with the 2 lip sync videos. It's so weird to say that, that we did beforehand. But I did get the bill. I did see the bill, and it was a couple $100, you know? And I didn't know how to convert that into how many views is this getting, but I knew it was getting a lot of views, or else I wouldn't have to pay a couple $100 for bandwidth on videos.
Right.
So you actually used to have to pay
Yeah,
bandwidth before
Yeah.
YouTube offered the service. So we found out about YouTube by me doing a search for one of the videos. I found that someone else had uploaded it to YouTube, and I sent him a message. I was like, hey, this video, thank you so much for uploading it here. We want to upload it ourselves. Do you mind removing it? And they said, yeah, absolutely. So we created our channel. Smosh was still 5 letters, still available.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of that.
Damn.
Shoot, I forgot where we were going. We were going with why Defy was.
he asked you about
why did Defy, like how did that all come
how did they
around?
pitch it to you?
Okay. I got off on a side tangent because I was talking about how I designed the website.
Trash Taste is all about tangents. Don't worry.
We always
Fitting
do
right
tangents.
in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's seamless. So they came to us and they were like, we will take care of the website, so you no longer have that stress to deal with, because every week the website was crashing and I was figuring out how to, keep it up. And they had this huge plan of all the things that they were capable of and how they had the infrastructure to allow us to do all of our dreams. So they asked us, what do you want to do with this company? If you could make this company anything, what would it be? And we had these huge lofty goals. They said, we got all of that on lock. We have the infrastructure. We have the investors. We can make this happen.
Right.
And they offered us a certain amount of money in stock.
Yeah.
Sounded really good. More money than I thought that, I would ever see in my life before that.
Yeah.
So I was like, that sounds great. Obviously, this company is eventually going to go public. That's how they work, right?
Yeah.
I did not know. My lawyer did not tell me that that's not always the case. The people that we had surrounding us that were authority figures in some way to us on the situation did not break down the details of how that doesn't always happen and how that's actually a huge risk.
Yeah, of course.
So they bought full ownership and they paid us in yearly, annual salaries.
Right.
And they had this structure set up where it was like, this year, it's pretty shitty salary, but next year it's an okay salary. But by year 4, you're gonna love your salary. So
Did that happen?
It did eventually play out that way, and I was pretty comfortable with it. I was like, we are making a good salary here. Like, what do we really have to complain about?
And I guess they're doing a lot of the stuff that you used to have to do, and they're looking for things and managing it. But then also, I imagine as a YouTuber, it's probably quite difficult to give that control.
It was too, because
else.
I did give that control away, and everything was not how I would have done it. So
Right.
I ended up working double time to teach them how to do the things, but then they were rehiring, and the way that bigger companies work is it's like you're never just building a one-on-one relationship with someone who you teach them once and they know and they keep going with that thing, and it's just a thing that happens now. It's like no, you're reteaching and reteaching and reteaching until it's like, okay, let's abandon the website. And then it was like me abandoning a lot of the things that I had a dream of growing because I was not able to keep that up and also do the videos. I had to figure out where to put my time.
Yeah. Was there a specific point when you kind of realized, damn, this is not what I envisioned at all, and I kind of want out? Like, was there a specific moment, or was it just like a build up of like a lot of things?
It was primarily a build up over a long period of time. It was about 4 years in when I realized that things just weren't looking right, and I still had 2 years on the contract left.
Right.
And I think one particular thing was like they hired someone that I did not know that they were going to hire, and then all of a sudden I found out that they were now a full-time employee in this like really important position that meant something to me, and I was like, wait, I didn't realize that was what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And also there were times, and I don't know how much I could say, but I'll see what I can do.
Well, they don't exist, they don't exist anymore. Right? So.
True, technically. There was a fundraiser that they put on. It was for a game. Yeah. And they had just seen the success of other people who had done fundraisers for games, Indiegogo, GoFundMe type things. Yeah. And they raised like $250,000 for like these games, which were like mobile games, but you could play it on the computer. And it was like this really cool thing with all these inside jokes from the community.
Right.
And they said, oh, that's cool, guys, you do that. And then we were like, we don't have a concept for a game. They're like, we'll figure it out later. You just raise some money.
They just made the fundraiser, and then they were, afterwards they were like, make the game.
And we said we need to have something to pitch to people. We need, and then they're like, cool, we'll just tell them the idea then. And then they're like, you come up with the idea. So I came up with the idea. Ian, of course, also. We both came up with the idea. And they were like, cool, you got the idea. Let's do it. And I was like, we need to have concept art. We need to like show a build of the game. We need to be able to show what we want to do with this thing. And they're like, we don't have time. Okay, we'll get concept art. So all we were able to do was launch with this concept art.
Wow. Oh my God.
And launching a campaign, asking people, incentivizing your fans to give you money. Well, that did not it did not feel right to me, but I felt backed up into a corner. And you know, I think that's probably one of the things that I regret from my time there is allowing myself to feel backed up into a corner, to accept money from people that were excited about this thing being built. Of course, you know, we did accept money for that, and I did put all of my heart and soul into making it as good as it possibly could be. Still didn't live up to my expectations, and I feel like if it was done the right way, it would have. But the moment that really stood out to me was there was some shadiness about you know, obviously the way that they push to earn money for something because they saw dollar signs.
Right, not because it was a good project.
Rather than it being like those types of things, if you're going to have your audience fund them, it should really be a passion project.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I could have made it a passion project because I really was excited about it, but it was so forced and you know, rushed. And then there was some shady stuff about like the way that they contributed to certain donations to inflate certain the way that certain things looked. And that's really all I'll say about that. But it made me feel so weird about it. I was like, I need out as soon as possible.
Right.
I imagine when they were doing stuff like that, the confidence you had in the company was probably a bit like, okay, if they're willing to do this, stuff must not be going so great.
And I realized that the way that they treated that was the same way that they were treating me and all the other people.
Yeah, because a lot of people lost a lot of money, right? I mean, it was like crazy.
What was it?
A lot of people lost a lot of money.
Eventually, luckily, I wouldn't say I foresaw anything, but it didn't feel right, and I got out a year before they ended up closing down.
Right.
Yeah.
And another thing that really was a turning point was I had made a Facebook page, and it was, I don't know, I had like 500, 600,000 followers or whatever you call it on Facebook.
That's just like
subscribers, friends,
yeah, something. And it was Smosh Anthony, and they were like, "Oh, this has Smosh in the name, so this is we're gonna run this for you." Okay, I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And then I was like, "Hey, you know," I was kind of trying to start to silently transition out. I think they kind of picked up on the gist because we still were contractually obligated. Yeah. But I was like, "Can I get my Facebook back?" They're like, "No, it's ours." I was like, "Oh," but I made that thing, and you said that you just wanted to run it because you were going to help me post content on there. They're like, it has Smosh in the name. This is ours.
That's fucked up.
I was like,
jeez.
Okay. And then I easily settled on that. I was like, oh, okay, it's fine. It's just Facebook. Who cares? Facebook. And then they were like, they're like, okay, hey, can we get access to your Twitter and Instagram? I was like, no. And then I immediately changed the name from Smosh Anthony to Anthony Padilla. after they asked me for access to that.
In a way, it's kind of cool that they kind of forced you into being like, you know what, fuck this, I'm just gonna go on my own. Like, I'm gonna fucking brand myself.
It really got me thinking, like, could I do something on my own, like outside of this brand that I had created? Yeah, and it was really sad because I had made that brand when I was 14 years old. I made that as like a little shitty website, as like a forum for me and my group of friends at school to go on and hang out with each other. It was really before social media. It was like we were either talking on AIM or we were going on this website. And it was sad to kind of let that part of me, this baby that I had brought into this world, kind of go.
Yeah, God, it must be nerve-wracking trying to do something yourself, though, right? Because like as a YouTuber, like starting, like ditching your channel, which has like millions and millions of subscribers, to start from the ground up again. Yeah, like I think like you are one of the first people I know, like first big creators to really like branch off and try to do something themselves with a new channel, right?
And it succeeded.
And like there wasn't a precedent set before that, really, that you could really succeed by doing something new, right?
Right. I mean, well, Fred did it.
Oh yeah, that's
Fred had another channel, and then he did his thing.
Well, you did a few movies. You did a few movies too.
I did a movie.
How was doing a movie?
I was doing a movie. Oh, that was also another weird
But
experience.
a part of me, because obviously, I mean, do you? It's not a good movie. I was just gonna fuck it. I was trying to think of how to say it. It's not a good movie. But
My heart. No. I put my heart and soul into that movie. It's the best
right
movie.
in front of him.
Oh my god.
I feel
This
like
is fucked up.
it's a part of
We invite him onto the show.
You invite me on here to talk shit about my pride and joy.
Listen, I want to talk to you.
Did you
honestly about it.
actually watch that?
Yeah, I loved it.
Dear
I love it in a way of
You said
like.
you loved it?
Yeah, it's a terrible movie.
It's so fucking
It's like
bad.
so bad that it's good.
Yeah,
It's
but
so
it's
fucking
that amazing part of YouTube history where like everyone had to have a movie.
Yeah.
YouTube for some reason was like, make a fucking movie.
Yeah.
Pump them out. Fred had fucking John Cena in his
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
It was just a fucking cool, weird time where people were making movies, whereas like, I mean, did you even want to make a movie? Was it like, what was that? Like, what was going on with that? Like, because I feel like there must have been so many people trying to put their fingers in it, trying to be like, no, it should be this. It should be this. No, fuck this. Oh, we should get John Cena in it.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. It's John Cena.
Yeah. Oh, we got Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well,
in
there
it.
you go.
yeah.
Gotta get someone from the WWE.
Well, I was like, John Cena's not happening. It's gonna be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I want to know about the movie. Like, what was all that?
A lot of people had movies going on, and a lot of people were breathing down our necks saying, so when are you gonna make a movie? And we did kind of have this dream of eventually making the movie version of a Smosh sketch. And we had a lot of nothing concrete, but like, ooh, what would the movie version of this look like? Do we get if we get $1 million, do we we had some of the dumbest ideas of like where the movie was all Smosh sketch budget, and then we had millions of dollars worth of money pumped into the final scene. That was our initial idea.
No, because I remember on the Smosh channel, this was way before the actual movie came out.
Yeah.
You guys released an April Fool's video called Smosh the Movie.
Yeah, we did.
And where it was, have you seen this video?
I think I've watched this.
This was like
Also
the
a long
first
time
ever
ago,
like
right?
April Fool's like YouTube video that I saw. But it was like the first 5 minutes was like the most insane quality, like, oh my god, this looks like a movie.
Yeah.
And then the remaining hour and a half was you and Ian walking back home with no cuts. And I thought this is the greatest thing ever. So then when I heard that you guys were actually making a movie, I was like, say psych. Say psych. It's just another April
I
Fool's
will
joke.
say, for YouTuber movies, it was what was the name of the one with the ghost?
Ghostmates?
Ghostmates. That was probably one of the better YouTuber movies.
It
I
was
will
okay.
say that one was
That
good,
one we
right?
had a little bit more freedom with, and in a weird way though, we almost stripped out a lot of like what made Smosh
Yeah.
Right.
with that movie. So it felt weird because it like wasn't quite a good movie, and then it wasn't quite bad YouTube movie, which is also entertaining for its own reasons.
I think it's because you and Ian are, I think, naturally very good on camera. Like compared to like how some other people transition to the movies kind of thing. I think you and Ian did that a lot better.
Well, I think it definitely helped that you guys were already acting in your sketches.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going on.
Acting.
Acting in your sketches.
I heard a lot about how I should improve my acting in the comments, but
Really?
Oh
That's because they're going to go into it and they're going to be like, you're a YouTuber, you can't act.
Yeah,
So,
like,
even if you did an amazing job, people
Like
would
stay
be
in
like,
your lane.
people would be like,
There's
no,
that expectation.
Yeah.
But with the movies, with the first one, it was a lot of, we did have this dream to do it, but then other people, it was at Defy. They were like, we need to make this happen, and we need to make it happen in 4 months.
4 months?
4 months.
Okay, I'm just throwing a random number out.
Okay, I was about to
But
say.
it was
Too
something.
soon.
It was something too little.
Not enough time.
It could have been 6. It could have been 8. But I think
Yeah.
it was somewhere probably around 6 months.
Jesus.
And we were like, actually, no. I remember it was after we got to a point in the script writing process that they said this needs to happen in this very short amount of time. We're like, we're not ready. Well, we're still like fleshing this thing out.
Yeah.
And it was a thing where we still wanted to make our videos on YouTube. We didn't want to give that up because we felt like we would have had to have dropped that in order to put all of our effort into making a movie.
Yeah.
And they were like, don't worry, we can hire this person. and they gave us a few options. They hired a person. The script was not anything like I would have wanted it to be. Right. It was a lot of like...
Just that one on Fiverr. Yeah. We found a guy.
Yeah, who's this guy? It was a lot of like, here's what someone who isn't in the YouTube space thinks our videos and thinks YouTube is.
Was there someone who like worked in like, you know, Hollywood movies?
It was like a Hollywood script writer who did like TV series and I think some movies as well.
Right.
And he did do some funny stuff, but it was very much like an out of touch perspective. And it was like, I mean, a lot of Smosh stuff was cringy in its own right, but like I was cringing at how out of touch these things were. It's like I could not do these things. There was this like area where like memes go to die that was written where it was like a space. Was that in the?
No. Wait, fuck. No, was it? Fuck.
I don't think
this
that
sounds so familiar.
I think that Ian might have talked about it on a separate thing.
Okay, that's pretty wild. This sounds so familiar.
Or maybe he and I both talked about it at some point. But there was this part written where it was like where memes go to die, and he was like Tay Zunday's in there, and I was like, okay, first of all, you're trying to make us say that these people are dead.
This sounds so familiar.
That's kind of fucked up. And then also you are saying, here's all these things that are not in the now. Like it's just this weird period piece that just feels too soon to be a period piece. You know what I mean?
So it might age poorly.
It also just sounds like a hello fellow children moment. Right? It's like, yes, I know memes. I know meme culture. These are dead, right?
It was exactly like
Hillary Clinton, am I right?
yes. It felt a lot like that. And then we did a lot of rewrites, and it was still a very bad movie. Thank you for
Maybe I was a little too harsh.
How self-aware were you, or like on set, to be like, guys, are we making like?
I think I was half self-aware.
Right.
I wasn't fully self-aware. Part of me thought, like after a certain scene happened, I was like, oh, that might actually be good. Part of me did think it might actually be a good movie, depending on the way it was cut, depending on the way the special effects look. But the way that it came together was very much. I was like, after we were seeing like final cuts of it, I was like, okay, that's the movie.
Well, I mean, at least it's not as bad as Shane Dawson's movie. That was
I mean, it depends who you ask.
No, that one was really, really bad.
Was it?
Have you seen it?
I did, but I saw it like
Years
on
ago.
the premiere night where there was so much hype in the room from all the friends and family that it was hard to tell.
Yeah.
Is this a funny joke, or am I just not in a good headspace right now? You know what I mean?
You should go rewatch it sometime.
Maybe I will.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Okay.
I never even tried that.
No.
Okay.
Jeez.
Well, it was a lot of fun though, and I think that some elements from the the Smosh sketches retained their smoshiness.
Yeah, I mean, it's much easier for me to sit here and be like, you made a fucking movie? like I could do any fucking movie.
Yeah.
Like my movie would be good. Oh, you got to make it in 6 months. What? I can't even spell.
It was a weird process because we had trailers and we had an acting coach and we had the pressure of like, this is the movie. It was something like $1 million budget. So it was like
you got like the full Hollywood experience.
It was the full Hollywood experience. Damn. And we had like a writer there on set to like do rewrites in the moment if we needed to rewrite something for time. And like there were a lot of scenes that we had to cut for time and like they were rewritten on them. It was such a different experience where it was not like I could still go to the director who was Alex Winter and he's amazing, is he the Bill? I forget if he's the Bill or Ted from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. The not Keanu Reeves,
wow, really?
he's the Ted, I think.
Ted. No, Bill.
I don't know.
Bill.
The one that's not Keanu.
Yeah.
But Alex Winter's amazing and his kids were huge fans of Smosh, so he really did want to give it that genuine Smosh feeling.
I feel bad calling it bad. All this heart and passion. I just said it was bad.
No matter how much heart and passion you put into something, if there are a few elements that are slightly off, it's gonna all kind of all get brought down to that level. And I feel like that's what happened. There were a lot of great things that could have been, but then it was like there were certain elements that just kind of brought it all
I
down.
mean,
to this
hearing, oh, we
weird
got to cut
level.
this scene because of time. That doesn't make you probably feel very confident. You're like, that's not good.
Yeah. But you know, a lot of times we're like, we're gonna cut this scene for time, and we end up having this other scene that totally actually works fine without it. And it was like the rewrites were okay.
Yeah. Were your like sketches before scripted? So you already were used to like memorizing lines, or were you like mostly improvised before?
Yeah. They were definitely scripted. But usually we would like get a take that we like, and then we'd be like go off book for the final take. And, like, half the time we'd go with the off book version.
Right.
But it was a little bit different. So Smosh videos, we would shoot 10-second clips of like this thing. Okay, you say this thing. Okay, you say this thing. And when you do a movie, they really want you to get like the full scene with this angle, then the full scene with the next angle.
No jump cuts. No fucking jump cuts. Yeah.
So
Continuity.
So a lot of the acting in it was actually me trying to remember my lines. And if I watch it, I'm just like, I'm just trying to remember my lines right now. For most of these lines, like it didn't really get past that. And also I got in my head a lot about like, I don't think this is going to be the movie that I wished it could be.
It would be so hard to like really turn up and give it your all when it just doesn't feel like it's going right.
It was hard. It was like after the first day, even though there were so many people that had a lot of passion and good intentions, and a lot of people that did put their heart and soul into it, after the first day I was like, this doesn't feel like it's going to be what I thought it would be. And then it was hard to get out of my head and to get out of that headspace.
Right.
And I guess you couldn't exactly go to Defy and be like, hey,
It's like not like a YouTube video.
Hey, we
where
just shot the first day.
Yeah. It's like the sketch kind of isn't working. Let's scrap it and go to a new YouTuber.
Yeah.
Like, let's do a new video, you know?
Yeah. Well, even down to the sketches, it was hard to say this video didn't work.
Oh, really?
Because there was a lot of money that was invested into it. And we were given a certain budget each month.
Right.
And if we scrapped it, it would be like, this is cutting into our overall budget. Let's just try to make this work. So when that pressure starts building up and you have all these other eyes and voices and budgets and restrictions, that's when I think things start to kind of go south in those situations.
Right.
And that's when I started to feel like things weren't really right. Even though like I could totally see why you can't reshoot a sketch after you shoot it. Obviously it makes sense. But I think if I was fully independent, there were a lot of things that I might have considered reshooting. But when we have this level where we want the production value to be there, and we kind of reach that point, it felt weird to go back. I now know that you could go back and it's fine. But
back then you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Would you ever want to make another movie with the correct amount of time and creative freedom?
Oh man,
Anthony Padilla, the movie.
It's just me now.
This is you.
It's just him interviewing.
Oh man. I don't know. I don't have any drive for that. I have been pushing myself more with the intros of my videos on my channel that I do now. It is scripted, and I realize that none of the passion that goes into me writing the words makes it on the camera when I'm recording these intros.
Yeah, of course.
So now I'm trying to, in a sense, maybe I'm like reverse engineering a way for me to learn how to acting is by just actually giving the emotions that when I write these things for me to actually give the emotions. I'm like, oh, when you say a line, you're supposed to visualize it.
You're not just saying it.
You don't just say the word.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what acting is. So in a weird backward sense, I feel like I am pushing myself to learn how to act a little bit.
Right.
And maybe, it depends. But right now, no.
Because you've kind of done so much in the time that you've been on YouTube. Like, is there anything you haven't done that you want to do eventually down the line? Because I feel like when you just think about like even just Smosh stuff, it's like you guys have literally been at the top. You've done everything. You've done all the big stuff.
Been at the top twice.
They've been at the top twice, dude. And like you've done the movies. You've done, did you release a book?
We released a graphic novel. I had a lot of fun making it. Most people don't even know that existed because they did not market it. But I put my heart and soul into a graphic novel, but no actual book.
Right.
So that's something I never.
Is that something you'd want to try, or is there like something else where you just like eventually I'd like to do it?
Maybe I thought about putting together some kind of like coffee table book that goes through the different interviews I've done and talks about the different things that I learned from each interview, the things that I've taken from that and been able to apply to my own life, and the moments that stood out to me as key things that I now go back to and think about.
Yeah.
So an autobiography.
A little bit, but hopefully it could be also a way for people to learn through me learning. Like that's part of why I do the interview series now.
I mean, to be fair, if there's anyone who has enough material to write a cohesive autobiography, it's you.
I don't know. I feel like putting it in the term of autobiography, I'm like, no.
Why is that? It's what makes you self-important.
Yeah.
I know so much more than all
It's because we've seen the YouTubers who have written autobiographies, and
they're just like, come on.
I'm 24. This is my life.
I struggled 12 times in my life. So.
That's what
I've recognized 8 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
This video is sponsored by Tippsy.
Tippsy is a quarterly subscription sake box where you will get 6 curated sake bottles straight from Japan to try all sorts of pairings and dishes with.
Guys, come on. You know you want to try some new sake, right? Come on.
Well, why don't you guys try some out while I give you some pointers?
Well, luckily, Joe, we have some custom sake boxes that we made just for my wedding.
Oh my lord.
I know.
Get the full Japanese experience.
Actually get to use it this time.
So the one that Connor is drinking right now is the Toyo Bijin. This particular brew gives an aroma red apple that fades to an almost nutmeg spice. It's a very dry sake, said to be strong enough to kill a devil.
That's actually quite nice, actually.
Yeah, I told you.
That's good.
Ooh, what am I drinking, Joey?
Well, Gan, you're drinking the Kinoene Junmai Ginjo. The sake itself is bursting with enticing aroma and pristine flavor, the hints of freshly sliced apple and a crisp finish.
That's actually really good. So guys, if you want some amazing deals in your sake, then you can get 10% off all products using code TRASHTASTE10.
And you can get $30 off your first sake box by using TRASHTASTE30.
Is that 2 coupon codes?
That's 2 coupon
That
codes.
is two
Smash that link down
Different
below.
deals, guys.
Smash that link.
Back to the episode.
I have to ask, because I'm curious, because you've been on YouTube for so long. Sorry, do you hate it when people say that?
No.
You're such a fucking dinosaur, dude.
I just think about my age. It's fine. No,
You're a YouTube boomer, dude.
Do you? Because YouTube has gone through a lot of distinct eras, I'd say.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite YouTube era where you feel like this is when it was peak?
The golden time of YouTube.
Yeah. I think it was probably around like 2011 to 2013 ish.
Yeah.
Where there was money to be made, so you and sponsors, like people would take it seriously enough to fund everything.
Yeah.
But yet there wasn't this idea that like mainstream media had.
Yeah.
Of like anyone can do this and become a millionaire.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like it was still very independent, and it just felt like creativity was what thrived most.
Yeah, because I feel like that era of YouTube, all of the biggest creators at that time, they all started YouTube not to make money, but just because they enjoyed the creativeness of it. They enjoyed making videos. And then I feel like after that, it kind of progressed into people realizing that you can make this a job.
Absolutely.
And you can, like, people did it for the
and it
money.
could be
which
a
is,
business.
Yeah, which is, it's a legitimate business, which is, nothing wrong with that. But I feel like part of the magic was lost, I feel, because it kind of transitioned into something else,
a different mindset going into creating things. And around that time, or soon after, is when I think the algorithm was introduced.
Yes.
The elusive algorithm.
The algorithm.
The one god of YouTube.
I'm learning more now that the algorithm really does reward the things that people enjoy consuming most.
Yeah.
And the algorithm's goal, well, no one individual knows everything in and out because it's made by so many people and it's taught to learn. That's not scary, don't worry.
It's sentient.
It's not sentient at all.
The algorithm does reward the things that do have the highest retention, that have people watching for the longest time, replaying the moments most, the highest click-through rate of what looks most exciting. So I am learning that you can work with the new way that it's set up. But it was definitely jarring when it first happened and no one knew or was told what was happening.
Just like flip to Let's Plays overnight.
Because that was the fastest way to make repeating long-form content that people would feel the need to watch entirely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, is that because did you guys start the gaming channel around that time? Or was
Yeah.
Is that why? Because of the change, or was it
We
just
didn't
like,
know what the reason was that these videos were popping up, but we saw, oh wait, gaming videos, it's becoming really popular. People want to see this, and a lot of people are asking us to play games.
I'm a gamer. Like,
I'm a gamer. I could do it.
Did you have a hard time when the algorithm did shift and you were still on scripted, scripted sketches and everything like that?
Yeah.
Right.
It was definitely a hard period. I mean, it didn't really affect us as much as
Yeah, it
It
seemed like
probably
you guys were
could have.
still going.
Yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah.
It was
strong.
still fine. We still, I looked recently, we still have like a lot of videos from that time that have like tens of millions of views. So like it was okay. It was okay, but it definitely did impact the way that the videos were pushed out initially.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like after the first weekend, I remember having a higher up breathing down my neck saying, you guys usually get 1 million views in the first 3 days. What's going on? Why are they, and it was a lot of like this stress of like, what is going on? And we're like, I don't know. No, we don't have
You don't want a fucking boss telling you that.
Yeah,
That's like the last thing
yeah.
you want.
And like their entire company and all the X amount of employees, like their livelihoods are built on the performance of these videos.
Yeah.
Right.
So at that time, we were really pushed to break off and create other side channels and experiment with longer form content, things that required less editing.
I feel so lucky being like just like a almost
Always
like
been
a
independent,
like a
basically.
1-2 man team with my own like personal channel, because that's just the pressure's just gone.
It's a lot less pressure.
Yeah. Okay. So because like I got to ask, because I rarely meet someone who's been on YouTube for longer than me.
For longer than most of your viewers' lives.
Yeah. Because honestly,
What a disturbing way
honestly,
of
yeah.
putting it.
I just
Yeah.
interviewed Nia Chu, who's like this really popular Twitch streamer, and she's 19. I was like, so I been on YouTube when you were 2? And it freaked me out.
That's
Yeah.
scary.
It freaked me the fuck out.
Because I found out today actually that today, out of complete coincidence, is my 15th year anniversary on YouTube.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I didn't know you've been around that long too.
Yeah. So I'm
Congratulations.
So like, I rarely get to ask this. So what is the secret to staying relevant for a long period of time on YouTube?
You're asking that?
I'm asking that
You've been on for 15 years.
because you've been on for longer than me. So you're the only one that I can ask for like actual perspective, right?
Okay. Well, we could share perspectives here. Because
Okay.
I think that you might have something to contribute.
Okay,
Mr.
yeah,
15 years. I'll be Mr. 17.
17 years. Talk to my senior, my senior now.
My YouTube career can watch an R-rated movie, but it can't quite vote or smoke.
Mine's in high school,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, chillin'.
Yours is gonna be legal next year, you know.
You're getting your first zits and trying and being very uncomfortable about it.
Your balls are dropping.
Yeah. You're very uncomfortable about puberty.
Yes,
You're
yes.
starting to get the hang of it. No pun
Right.
intended.
Yeah.
But let's see. So the secret is to never feel like you have it figured out.
Right. Yeah.
The secret, I think, is to always feel like there is something new to learn.
Yeah.
I am constantly looking at the people that are growing audiences, and I'm kind of filtering out, okay, this person, they have a recipe and it pleases the algorithm. I think maybe that's why they have views. Okay, what can I learn from that? Okay, this person has a really dedicated fan base. They don't necessarily appeal to the algorithm, but they appeal to an audience. And what can I learn from them?
Yeah.
So for me, it's really about constantly learning.
Yeah.
And when I do interviews with bigger names, tomorrow I'm interviewing Tommy Innit.
Oh, nice.
And he's like, is he 18?
He's still in school, right? Or was he?
He just
in high school.
graduated.
Yeah.
But like I love picking his brain and people that are new and coming up on YouTube right now and learning what they see in the platform now, because it's something completely different. And I feel like there was never a point where you as a creator on the internet, where things are so rapidly changing, there was never a point where you will be like, figured it out.
Yeah.
And I used to think there would be a point that I would be like, I gotta grind and eventually I have it figured out, and then I'll just be able to sit back and let the thing just live on its own. And I think that's kind of what got me into or convinced me that like selling to a company in 2011 was the right idea. I had it in my head.
Yeah.
The goal is to figure this out. It'll go on autopilot. I can relax and maybe do other things in my life.
Yeah.
But what I quickly realized is that I really love doing this, and this is part of my life that I want to retain.
Yeah.
And there will never be a point where I feel satisfied just relaxing. But also, if you sit back and relax, then and it's been
get
about
comfortable.
like you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
comfortable and you lose track of what's why things are moving in the direction they're going and what is relevant to the platform today.
Yeah, because that's really interesting to hear, because like for your perspective, you've really like been one of the top creators basically since the birth of YouTube, whereas I've been on YouTube for a long time, but it's been like on a very, very niche like topic, which is anime. So I've always been able to learn from what the bigger creators are doing and try to apply what everyone else is doing, and seeing if I can take that into my own niche, my own channel, and seeing if it can grow out of there.
And how has that paid off? Like, were you able to take those lessons and things that you learned from the bigger YouTubers and apply it to yourself and have it pay off?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of felt like a cheat sheet, you know. It kind of felt like cheating because I'm just like, you know, I'm in such a niche topic that I could just take what other people are doing and just put it with my own content. But with you, since you're one of the people setting the standards, you know, you're one of the people like, you know, I watched and I was like, oh, okay, let's see what Smosh are doing. Let's see what some of the other bigger creators are doing. I'm like, okay, well, I see what's successful to them, but like, I feel like being at the top of the pyramid and trying to balance yourself is a lot easier than climbing up from the bottom of the pyramid trying to like stay relevant.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that some people have a goal of like get to the top of this pyramid, just stay afloat up here.
Yeah.
And of course, like it is much more comfortable because you have the freedom to kind of apply more of these things that you learn on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so much more pressure, and I think that that's unforeseen to smaller creators. You know, I had my period. I left Smosh when I think we had 22 or 23 million subscribers, huge amount of subscribers, huge amount of pressure. I go off and do my own thing. Channel starts with a couple million, and they're like people that don't really know what to expect. I don't know what to give them. And there was still that pressure there from me of how am I going to entertain these people who expect me to be giving the quality of content of a 22 million subscriber channel, but now it's just me. It's literally just me on my own.
I'm really curious about, obviously, a lot of the viewers, when you said, oh, I'm leaving Smosh, I think a lot of people would see that and think, oh, it's just like he's just leaving a channel. But I imagine there was a lot of probably behind the scenes or like friendships that were strained by that. Was that like outside of just the business perspective, did that put like a lot of strain on like your personal life, like leaving that and having to kind of be like, all right, I'm leaving this big thing? Like, because, you know, obviously Ian is there and a bunch of your friends who worked there.
Well, surprisingly, me leaving didn't put a strain in and of itself, like the idea of me leaving and then me leaving. That didn't exactly put a strain. I think maybe afterwards it did a little bit because there were, I think it was because audiences or viewers and commenters really were having all these different things that they were saying about like, oh, this person's better or this person's better or you were better when you were here or they're better now that they're here. And I think that added a little bit of, it was unavoidable to see those, especially. I feel like you can't turn off your brain from wanting to keep up with the comments, not even if you're not even trying to look for them. I'm trying to see what people are thinking about this new thing that I'm just like trying to figure out, and then I'm getting inundated with all these opinions from people, and I think that does seep in when you're not ready for it. I do wish that I was more ready for the types of comments.
How the fuck can you be ready for that?
The only way to be ready for it, I think, is to live in it. But I also realized that there is a bit of freedom in having a smaller audience. So it was a huge struggle, and my videos when I first left, I think got 1 million views each for like a couple months, and I was like, oh, this is I need to retain this. And then very quickly, once I think people realized I didn't know what I was doing, I had no goal for the channel. I was like, each week we'll figure out something new, and I hope you watch it. And I quickly lost this audience that I had, and realized that they were not there just for me. And it was a little bit disappointing at first because I thought, oh, I guess I have the freedom to do whatever. And I thought that I had that with me. And then it was a wake up call to realize, oh, but you have to make good content. You can't just expect them to be there because it's you. Egotistical maniac. And I, the views I think got to about like 30,000 to 60,000 views a video
on the Anthony Padilla
on the Anthony Padilla channel. Within the first year after.
Wow.
And at that time, you know, if videos weren't getting 100,000 views or even more, people in the comments are just like irrelevant. Wow, fell off.
L plus ratio plus you fell off.
A lot of that.
You basically had abandoned an audience for a different style. So obviously that's going to happen. But like people don't see it like that. They're like, oh, your name.
Like, what do you mean you're not doing sketches anymore? I thought you were gonna do your own sketches now, right?
And I thought that I had to. I thought I was beholden, and I think that the reason that it got to that point is I felt like I was trapped in this idea of I need to create sketches. I need to be funny. I need to deliver something that appeases that audience that I've learned how to appease. And I think getting down to I call them lower numbers, 30 to 60K. I know a lot of people are up and coming, and that is a great number.
Perspective.
I don't want to discount that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like kind of floundering around at that number, and first of all, I had to get out of my head from looking at the numbers.
Right.
It wasn't about that anymore. I realized that I had an opportunity now to experiment without the pressure of an audience.
Yeah.
So that's when I started experimenting with all these different types of videos and all these different types of things. And that's when I fell into doing I Spent a Day With. Videos.
Right.
And it was without that pressure. And the first few did have that pressure on me to be funny. So I was kind of, I spent a day with flat earthers, and it was kind of like, look how ridiculous
look how weird and wacky
these
this is.
people are weird. But slowly but surely over the next couple months or half year, I started realizing that I actually was really curious about different types of people. And I did this video, I Spent a Day with Furries, and I had a company help me reach out to these people, and I thought they were all local. When they showed up, I found out that one flew in themselves on their own dime, and then this person drove 3 hours to be there.
Jeez.
And I was like, okay, this is, I already wasn't planning to to say like these people are weird, but a part of me was like, I don't understand this. This is kind of a weird thing. But they get there and they're saying, I used to watch Smosh all the time. I love your stuff.
You're fucking weird.
So anyway, why are you weird?
So I very quickly changed my perspective with the way that I went into that interview. I was like, there is no way, and it felt weird to me doing that the Flat Earther episode. It felt weird to me, like I was going outside of my element to give the snarky commentary channel perspective that was really popular on YouTube at the time. I realized I was kind of falling into those tropes that were so popular. And I was like, I just feel like I need to just be me and have a conversation with someone, be curious about them, try to learn about their life. And in doing so, afterward, I had them reach out to me. They were really excited about the way it turned out. But also a lot of commenters were like, whoa, this is the first time I've ever seen furries represented in a way where they were treated with respect.
Right.
And that is so weird. I've never seen that before. I'm going to send this to my friends who don't understand me.
Right.
And it was really then that I realized, like, oh, this is what actually feels right. This doesn't feel like I'm not appeasing an audience I think I should be appeasing because it's the trendiness of YouTube at the time, or like this sense of humor that I felt like I needed to always like be this character that I was on Smosh.
Right.
I felt like I was able to actually just be myself. And my editor then helped me throw in jokes, but it wasn't up to me anymore. I was just making a connection with the person.
Yeah. Back to like YouTube boomer talk, right?
Let's go.
You talked about, constantly learning, constantly seeing what's out there.
Yeah.
There must have been a point when you're just like, I am so out of touch right now. Because I
sure.
constantly feel that. Sometimes I'm like, I get YouTube. I get the algorithm. I get what the content, I get what people want to watch. Sometimes you just see something and you're like, okay, I am a boomer.
You see that one popular video and you're like, why?
Yeah.
Why this?
There's this one channel called Ouija PG.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay. So I don't know how they do it. They got they have a 3D CG rig of Luigi, and they animate him and his face to react to things, or at least this is what the channel was a few years ago. I don't know what they're doing now.
Okay.
So he was reacting to things with Luigi sound effects. They're like, wow, whoa, and it was just like a reaction channel by Luigi, and I was like, and some of them had millions of views, and I was like, this is so bizarre. But I loved it.
That sounds incredible.
I reached out, I followed him on Twitter. I was like, this shit, keep it up. This shit's sick. But it was so weird, and I was like, there is always something to learn about YouTube.
Yeah.
There's always some weird corner.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're exploring that as well.
Now you're exploring. Yeah.
And those are the types of people that I really, really enjoy talking to, where it's like this community that's doing this thing that many people would just think is bizarre. Like, there's actually something to it, and why does it catch on? And we could talk about the emotional aspects of the connection that people make, and why do you think this is popular?
I think it's just really refreshing. I mean, obviously lately on the internet, and even when you started it was very combative, and everyone was always at each other's throat. And I think it just came out at the time and kind of hit the right note of just like, let's just talk. Let's just sit, learn about each other.
Just be open.
Yeah. And I think it's, the success, I mean, it shows that the audiences wanted that kind of content. Like,
Yeah.
people are curious about all the types of different things, be it pony players.
Pony players.
In saying that,
I want to know that. Like, I want to know why. Like,
in saying that though, there have been a couple of videos I've seen from yours where you do kind of bring back that like old school, like a little bit cynical type of interviewer type thing. Like, you know, the one about like you interviewing time travelers, for instance. Like that one was like a little like I saw like the little bit of the cynical side of it, which was just as entertaining.
you have to be.
You have to be.
Yeah.
That was right after the Flat Earthers episode. So
Okay,
I didn't
yeah,
quite
yeah.
detach from that side
Yeah.
of it. But I feel like now if I were to approach that again,
Yeah.
the topic that I'm like a little bit like,
Yeah.
I think I would just outright say, this seems completely unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have people telling you that, and how do you feel about that?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's so many more interesting conversations to have about that. And I think a lot of people are either afraid to tell someone that their shit's whack,
Yeah.
or all they want to do is tell them that their shit's whack, and they don't want to hear why they do what they do.
Right.
I think that there's like, if you could just be transparent with anyone, really, like if you could just have a conversation with anyone about why they do what they do, you can make some kind of a connection regardless of who the person is, except Hitler, not Hitler.
Damn, they grow up so fast. He's maturing.
How do you feel about TikTok? Because if there's one thing that does make me feel like a boomer and out of touch, it is just TikTok itself.
Yeah.
Have you thought about venturing into that?
I have a TikTok channel.
I should
really?
yeah. For TikTok, right?
Yeah, it does really well with just clips from my interview series cut down, and
Yeah, we did that as well. For
Yeah.
Trash.
does it work for you guys?
Yeah,
too?
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Still well.
I think that the thing about TikTok is that there is an audience for everything.
Oh, yeah.
So you
Gotcha.
might log on and think this is fucking weird shit, but
Yeah.
then there is a corner of the internet that is for you on TikTok, and their algorithm is really good at feeding you content eventually. If you sift through enough garbage for enough time, it eventually will find the thing that sits.
My favorite category of TikTok videos is somebody complaining about something really specific, and then someone's like, "Hi, I'm the expert on that. Actually, this is actually why it works." And he's like, "Who's the toenail expert? Why did you come from?" Like,
It's literally IRL Reddit, right?
Yeah.
They're like, toenail expert here. Let me explain to you.
It's just like the strangest experts all come out, and they're all good looking. Like, that's the other thing. Everyone who is like an expert on something is just amazing looking.
Yeah.
There is always an expert about everything,
And they look amazing.
and they always look amazing.
It's like, why did you have to be so good and charming?
Did they become good looking because they're an expert, or
Yeah.
which one came first?
They became an expert, then they had the time to go and work out and take care of themselves.
Or is it that most people that look good are bound to be experts?
So I used to be a model, now I'm a toenail expert.
It is really crazy. But it's such a cool platform, but it makes me feel really old.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I thought it was going to die.
I think everyone when it was bought, when it was Musically.
I thought it was going to go down the Vine route.
Yeah.
Musically it was the thing, and everyone was doing the Musically like cringe compilations.
Right,
I just
right.
thought, this is for kids. And then
Yeah.
TikTok blew up,
Yeah.
and then wow, everyone was wrong. I think everyone
Yeah.
thought it was going to die.
Yeah. When everyone was just like that lip syncing or doing dances, and it's just like, oh, look at this funny thing the kids are doing.
There were replies, man.
Anthony was like, I did that so many years
I got
ago.
my career that way.
They took my shit.
I think it's the replies and the ability to share the music so easily.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
a game changer, I think.
Yeah.
And it made editing kind of, accessible to editing, very accessible to beginners and people who don't know it. It's like, just slide this thing across, chop the video, chuck it in, put this music over it. And you want a funny filter? We've got that too.
True. Yeah.
So it kind of made it more like less scary. I mean, you open up like DaVinci Resolve, and you just have a panic attack. You're like, what the fuck is this? Like, this makes no sense. Adobe Premiere, it makes zero sense if you don't watch 5 hours of YouTube tutorials.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like it kind of made it like very accessible in a way that kind of just worked.
And TikTok is always changing their shit.
Yeah.
If you look at TikTok now versus a year ago, it looks very different. And before that, and the features that they add, they are doing the upkeep.
Yeah.
Vine, like I think it was clear why Vine died for many reasons. One being that you couldn't make money on it, but also they were not like keeping it up. They were not updating it. And unfortunately or not, things on the internet platforms need to constantly be updated to go where people are wanting it to go.
Yeah.
Because it is ultimately for people, right?
Yeah. Instead, Vine opted to be like, what if we made a sequel to Vine? Let's make a Vine 2.
Did they ever do that?
No.
Were those rumors or were those legit?
They were legit. Yeah. Vine was like, we're coming back with Vine 2, and people were like,
and then TikTok was like, nah.
yeah, TikTok was like, no, we got this. Don't worry.
We're way ahead of you.
Yeah.
Well, I find it really weird because, like, I feel like now TikTok is what YouTube was, like, 10, 15 years ago, right? Where, like, remember when, back in the day, where YouTubers would try to get on TV, which was like the old media, in order to legitimize themselves. And now it's like TikTokers trying to become YouTubers
to legitimize themselves.
And it's been so weird just seeing that transition.
That's so true. Yeah, I guess it's because the platform is so easily accessible.
Yeah.
You were saying that anyone could jump on there and you can build an audience on there. People can find you. The algorithm is very good. So it's basically like if early YouTube had an algorithm that fed people content that was directly relevant to them.
Yeah. And I think it's also like the barrier for entry for YouTube now. I feel like even though, YouTuber is like, you can make anything on YouTube and it will be successful, still like the quality of content on YouTube now is so much higher than it was 15 years ago.
We're in like the Mr. Beast era where everything has to be $100,000. I did this. I fucking stayed up for 1 week straight. It's like, all right, okay, I can't compete with that. Because I just don't want to do that.
Have you seen any of Ryan Trahan's stuff?
I have.
So I feel like he's been reinventing what YouTubers can now expect to do on the platform, because he's taking some elements of the Mr. Beast style with thumbnails that look very nice and clean, and he has an elevated concept. For this whole thing, and it feels like a video game. It feels like you're watching this person's journey unfold in front of you, and you feel like you can't click away because you never know what's going to happen at any turn. But yet it is still a vlog, and he can still, because it is a vlog where the whole idea is that it's low produced. He's able to make one a day.
It's quite nice. Just watching it, and you're like, this is like nice. I just feel like it's not too crazy. I obviously love
nostalgia.
I love watching a Mr. Beast video, but my God, I feel like I'm a cog in a machine.
Yes.
Like it's just it's so much.
And there's so much streaming and text. And it feels like a refined, modernized vlog that has kind of like an elevated game plan.
The thumbnails are just
the thumbnails kill it. And I never would have thought that a vlog thumbnail, which is not, clickbait, because it's not clickbait, can look so good. Right?
It's I don't know who does.
Yeah, like I remember when back when YouTuber vlogs were just you put on any digital camera, handheld camera, and then Casey Neistat came along and just used a DSLR and made like basically like mini short films every day. And the people were like, what? You can do that? That's possible? And then everyone tried to be Casey Neistat for a while.
And then he burnt out.
I mean, he was every day. When he used to talk about his schedule, he was like, I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm editing it on the plane. I'm like, what the fuck?
But I think what we can learn from that experience is that, if you have something good, you don't need to overdo it. If you want it to have any longevity, part of the game plan is to figure out a way for it not to take up your entire life. I interviewed Markiplier, and he was like, burnout is when people aren't refilling their bucket. They're constantly scooping out of their bucket for their content, and they're not refilling it because they're not living a life outside of that. You need to have that balance.
Have you ever been burnt out?
Yes, absolutely.
I would have been shocked if you said no.
Never. Always a creative.
17 years strong, baby.
I was trying to be polite. The question should be, so when did you burn out?
You should have just said it. Honestly, you should have just said it like that. Many different times, and every single time is when I felt overworked. And then once it became like part of a company, overworked, underappreciated. Felt like I wasn't being like my opinions didn't quite contribute to the creative. But then also outside of that, I was burnt out on my own outside of Smosh after I left and decided to do my own thing. For a lot of that time when the views were dropping, I was also burnt out. So it makes sense that people were not wanting to watch the content of someone who's burnt the fuck out by their own content. That's not fun to watch. Yeah. There's a feeling you can feel when someone is burnt out by their content.
And then when you go to the actual video and the top comment is like, he's run out of ideas.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck you, dude. I got so many ideas. And I just sit there and I'm like, I have no ideas. They were right.
Shit. Call me out.
But, I think I really started to reframe what was important to me, and then I started like not taking it as seriously, not putting as much of my time into it, and I was able to live a life outside of it and have thoughts that were separate from my work. And I think that's what it kind of helps reinvigorate to a certain degree.
Yeah, one thing I was gonna ask is like, because compared to you YouTube boomers right here, we are very much children.
Oh yeah, 9 years, 7 years, right
7
there.
years. Yeah, well, like I just discovered what boogers taste. So it's like what I wanted to ask you specifically is like, how much of longevity do you see as a YouTuber being a career, right? Because it's like we don't really have any like, because like say of like Hollywood or like the acting industry or music industry, right?
Yeah.
We already have examples of people who have had careers for like 30, 40, 50 years plus, right? But because YouTube is such a new thing, whereas like I think the longest is probably someone like you, right? It's like, do you see yourself doing this for the next 10, 15 years again?
I mean, it's already been half my life.
Yeah.
So it feels like I can give my confidence to the idea that YouTube will be around for a long time.
Right.
They haven't made any glaring mistakes that are still glaring mistakes. Like it feels like they've made a ton of mistakes. Absolutely. I'm not going to write them off completely.
Right.
But it seems like over time they are remedying a lot of those. It feels like they actually are caring about the community. I'm not, there's plenty of issues, but it seems like enough people care to make changes to keep the platform relevant.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's go on.
I completely lost
Oh,
it. Say.
Because obviously people are going to be like, what do you mean they did this fucking
know,
thing?
yeah,
And it's like, I think, as you were saying, as a whole platform, I think they meant, considering the amount of shit that goes on the platform, they do a pretty good job at keeping it relevant, pushing it forward, and making it the place.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's places.
Yeah, because
where
I think
fuck up
definitely like the one moment that YouTube like did a fucky wucky and everyone was like, "This is the end of YouTube," was when demonetization became a thing, right?
Yeah.
And the adpocalypse came out.
Yeah.
Everyone unanimous was like, "This is it. This is where it dies."
Yeah.
But it somehow managed to stick around for what, 5 extra years?
That needed to happen, though.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, it was an inevitability that it was going to come to something like
Yeah.
just a system like that was going to have to be put.
Yeah.
in.
They implemented a lot of things that help with that though. Like on the back end, you can
Yeah.
upload a video now and it'll say, I'm not sure if it's for everyone. I think it's for everyone. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to be like,
YouTube privilege right
I'm
here.
like, YouTube's great. And they're like, bro, we do not have any of those features.
Well, let's find out.
The 1%.
Okay, so what I will say is when I upload a video, it says checking
Yeah,
on it,
yeah.
on the
Okay,
monetization.
yeah.
And then after a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever, it eventually does like the initial check, and then you can have some confidence
Yeah,
that it
true.
probably
Yeah.
caught it if it's going to catch something that you shouldn't have in the video.
Yeah.
So that has given me a lot of confidence in the direction of that, because monetization was a huge issue. Every time I would upload for a while, I was like, I don't know. Let's see, this thing I put tens of thousands of dollars into, it might be worth nothing. I might just be in the red for this.
Right.
So they did fix some things, I feel, and they're slowly but surely, I think, fixing a lot of the glaring issues.
Yeah. Was there like a point where like this changed from, because as with the way being a content creator is, this changed from being a job to a career? Because like for the longest time I treated YouTube as a job, because you wake up and you're like, maybe I'll be irrelevant tomorrow, a week from now, a year. And like I didn't really feel like this was a career literally until this podcast, when I'm just like, oh, okay, this is like a business, a sustainable business that I can see myself 5-10 years in the future. Was there a point for that for you?
I think the moment that changes with somebody in general is probably when you have a format that you can come back to and feel confident in. And that's probably why this podcast was like, we know the format. We know it's kind of all figured out, so that it feels like this is a repeating thing.
Yeah.
For me, I think it probably felt like career when we were purchased by Defy, because it was we had
Salary and
salary. I mean, that kind of, I feel like is unique to me though.
Yeah.
But then after that, going off independently, the moment that it felt like a career for me now was when I had a series I spent a day with to go back to.
Yeah.
I knew that it was a repeating thing.
Like a safety net, like something comfort,
I think that's the difference. Yeah. When you know that you have something, you're not starting from square one every single video.
Yeah.
A lot of people are still trying to figure out what they're doing. So every single video is back to the drawing board. And then that just feels like a job. And trust me, it's tough.
Yeah, because like I feel like when you're starting off at YouTube, you want to make like every video like a 10 out of 10 banger. Yeah. You want to be motivated. You want to do something new every time. Then you realize that after a year or two of doing it, you're like, this is not sustainable at all. I need some kind of formula that I can fall back on, because I can't always be, at my peak of creativity every time. Yeah.
So you guys are like 90% probably going into each episode, 90% sure where things are going to go. And that
yeah. Well, going back to the beginning of this episode, right?
We know roughly.
We know roughly.
You know a little bit about what the dynamic is going to be like, at least.
I know if I say this thing, how maybe he'll react.
Your face is not so sure.
I'm like, all I know is that we're gonna have someone on the show, and we're gonna be talking about their stuff.
Well, you have a name and you have sponsors. So
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess sorry.
No, I was just saying, like, I feel like in a weird way, we're still trying to figure out that formula for Trash Taste in a sense. Really? It's like we've kind of figured it out. It's obviously like a lot
100 episodes deep.
100 episodes deep, right? But it's like I'm personally always like, scared of like that moment where it starts to get repetitive or starts to feel like a job. And like luckily it's I don't feel that way right now about it. Yeah. But it's like I am scared to like fall into that.
So what are you doing to prevent it from feeling like it's a repetitive job?
I mean, we're bringing it on tour now.
I mean, we're filming overseas. We're getting, all sorts of interesting guests and stuff like that. And I think the specials definitely help. Where that's the moment where we can just like kind of really explode with our creativity. Yeah.
But also, I feel like those specials probably are what excite the audience as well. Right?
Yeah.
I hope so.
I hope so. Right, guys? Right.
Every now and then someone will be like, where's our 4-hour conversation? I wanted to go to work and listen to 4 hours, not watch 1 hour of content.
Yeah. I guess like my final question is, what do you want to do in the future? I mean, you've been on the platform 17 years.
Yeah.
You can do something for your 20th anniversary?
Got nothing planned, man. But 21st, you don't know. I just want to continue refining what I do. That's what I've been enjoying doing most. This I Spent a Day With series has been so fun for me because every single episode I see at least one element that I want to refine, whether it's the lighting on the set or something that's like really technical like that, or it's like my performance on the intros feels like I'm just reading words. I'm gonna revamp that and try to learn it. Or like I just went all out and I did these tests where I reshot some of my intros where I have a jib, which is like a fucking little crane to a camera. And I was like, what if because I was watching a bunch of really big YouTubers, like Eric, for example. And I was like, he has these intros where he's like choreographed this scene. There's one that he did like about like, what would you do if you had 1 day left to live?
Right.
So he starts off and it's like the doctor saying, you have 1 day left to live. And he's like in these bandages. And then he's like, he just gets up and he gets out and the doctor's like, where are you going? And he's like ripping off his bandages and stuff. He's like talking to the camera and he's like, what would you do if you had 1 day left to live? And he's like saying this to the audience, and he's bringing us through the cameras, like following him. And it's like this choreographed scene that just immediately right off the bat, there was this effort that went into this. This is a good setup for this video because I know that if the rest of this video is like anything like these first 30 seconds, it's gonna be so much fun. So I was like, how could I apply some of these things that I'm seeing modern YouTubers do, and apply it to an interview format? And I was like, well, I could kind of choreograph the way that I say these things. So I'm still learning with that, and so it's hard to say like where I want to go next, but I think more importantly, I know where I want to go now, and that's to constantly refine and not allow myself to get bored, because I want to always creatively see what is like right out of my comfort zone.
It's pretty cool that you've been on YouTube for that long. You're like, I still want to get inspiration.
I was about to say that's very humbling.
It's inspiring to hear that like you are still on your journey. Right.
Yeah.
After 17 years, you're still on your journey and you're still figuring stuff out.
Yeah, because in my head, I was like, damn, I've been doing this shit for 9 years. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm glad to know someone who's been doing it for almost double that also doesn't know.
No, I'm
You
just
know?
having fun, man. It's like if I enjoy what I'm doing, like I feel like that is the best career that you could have.
Yeah,
Is where
definitely.
you enjoy it, not the career that unfolds in this timeline that I pre-built in my head for where it goes.
Right.
Yeah.
You hear that, guys? It's not about the money. It's about the love for it.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
This is awesome. This is so cool.
Hey, but look at all these patrons, though.
Yeah.
You see all of them on the screen?
Shit.
Look at all
Oh
these
my
patrons.
God.
Look at
Become
them.
a
coming
patron
down.
immediately. The show is dope. Don't forget it.
Who's your favorite patron? I like that one.
That one right there in the
one?
middle.
Yeah.
It's already gone, but I did enjoy it.
Hey, if you like to support the show, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/trashtaste. Also, follow us on Twitter, send us some memes on the subreddit, and if you hate our face, listen to us on Spotify.
Yeah.
And go check out Anthony's stuff. I don't need to tell you that. Everyone should know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
please
hope we did an okay job interviewing you
my
for
God.
once.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I've never done a 3-on-1 before. It's always been a 1-on-3. Thank you for putting me in the reverse position.
Yeah.
Guys.
All right.
Hopefully, we're going to hear about our skills later on.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
write it all down as a score. Yeah.
I'll talk about this experience on another episode of my show. So
hell yeah.
you won't know when it's coming.
You're just going to throw it in and be like, oh yeah, but yeah, so about the pony thing. By the way, trash tastes are shit. Like,
So I came in there and they didn't know anything.
Yeah.
They didn't know anything. They weren't even
They're
prepared.
such a better guest than Trash Taste. And they weren't even guests, they were hosts. So. You guys are great.
hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching, guys.
All right.
See you next one. Bye.
Bye.